Wrong button.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for session number 23 of the Unsung Tales, a one-ring actual play on the Happy Jacks RPG network. To find all the sessions of this game, visit happyjacks.org/unsungtales, without the, and to find all the shows in the Happy Jacks network, you can go to happyjacks.org. My name is Kimi. I'm your Loremaster for this game. I use she, her pronouns. And this has been an amazing, wonderful ride. And we are coming slowly to the end of it. We'll see what happens today. Please know that we do have X cards at the table and ready for everyone. We've also done lines and veils, so we all know what is okay. But this is a very chill, heartwarming game. Although, warning, we are probably going to have a big fight today that we've kind of been going towards for a few sessions now. So, if you have a soft spot in your heart for giant man-bear monsters, maybe don't watch this episode. But no.
What if we're
It's
in the
still
episode?
pride. It's still pride. I still love bear men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's start at this end of the table today. These are the players.
Hello, I am Kadave. Back again to play Hannar. Both of us are he, him. Hannar is a dwarf, not necessarily of Durin's folk, as we laid out last time.
No, I've Durin's folk.
Mechanically,
Oh,
in the game, but didn't we say it was a different offshoot?
no.
No.
No,
The original Blue Dwarf.
The original Blue Mountain Dwarves were not
Different.
Durin's folk, but they were wiped out.
All right.
You're fine. You're Durin's
After the
folk.
flood, they got washed away. So we are back. Hello, go Durin. Let's do this. All right. It's a lot. It's a lot.
There's
I know.
a lot of
It's
history.
slowly percolating in there.
Hello, I'm Michelle Otis. I use she, her pronouns, and I am playing Liriel of Rivendell. I just kind of like that, Liriel of Rivendell.
Beautiful.
And she's looking forward to this adventure. So it'll be exciting. After all the awkward family drama last week, this is going to be fun.
A woman of action. Unlike me, hi everyone, I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns, and I play Aerlind of Mithlond, who uses he, they pronouns, and he's maybe a little bit afraid of what we were about to do, and is much better suited to have family drama conversations.
That's fair. I am Sam. I use she, her pronouns, and my character, Runa, went to the jewelry store instead of awkward family time, so I didn't have to do any of that, and I am also very excited to fight things.
All right, so last time we made it to the Dwarven settlement in the Blue Mountains, which is actually Hannar's home. And Hannar is a little bit nervous about that entire interaction because he hasn't been home in a really long time and left on very bad terms and hasn't had much contact with his family in most of a human lifetime. Yeah. Being a dwarf, he's got a little bit more wiggle room there. So they made it there. Runa wanted to have the ring that she found in the mouth of the burning beast many episodes ago now. And you kind of check that out. She got a little weirded out when a couple of sessions ago now. I can't think. Time has no meaning. You were talking with Celebrimbor's love, and he just kind of had that's an interesting ring, and it kind of just brought it back to your attention that you didn't really know. Where does this come from? Maybe I should know before I keep carrying this around. So when you got there, you asked Hannar for a recommendation for who you should go see about this mystery jewelry with powers. And he gave you the name of one of the dwarves that he came and met with earlier in the storyline for the pearl that ended up having the palantir in it. The rest of you got to continue on and meet Hannar's family. You came to their mighty forge with a very fun kind of wander through this dwarven city that is being rebuilt kind of on the ruins of an ancient, like 6,000-year-old dwarven civilization that is long gone. Kind of got like a taste and a flavor for the town. And you got to their very successful forge, which creates very beautiful pieces of armor. You got to meet Hannar's sister and brothers, of which there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think maybe 7.
It's easy to lose track.
Yeah, I mean, I have a list of names, and I'm like, I can't remember exactly how many I mentioned last time. But that Droney is your just one younger brother. He's the one who kind of ended up becoming the heir apparent to take over the forge. Your father has recently been injured at the forge. It's nothing major, but it's just kind of another sign that, he is getting older and that is going to have to pass on soon. You and Droney have a very strained relationship. He looked up to you for your whole childhood, and then when you left and were kind of a failure. However, he is incredibly talented at crafting. And Bruni is your father, and after a bit of a cold conversation starter, things did warm up a bit. And then you also had your sister, Deirdre, who has ended up, even though she's one of the babies of the family, she's kind of ended up a very big personality, who kind of escorted you from your, made you at your family's forge, prove that you've gotten better at crafting because you said you had, and you did. It wasn't anything like huge, but you definitely knew what you were doing and impressed your family, which did smooth over kind of a bit of the tension and made your siblings more ready to welcome you back, along with all the tales of all your adventures and you becoming like your I think it was your great grandfather, who Bravith, who actually was an adventurer and a warrior. And even though the family's kind of moved away from that, they've sort of kind of accepted that you're kind of a throwback to that lineage of theirs, which makes it much more accepting that you haven't gone into the family business. And in fact, Bravith's home is still sitting in your formal dwarven living room. So great room, whatever it would be called. Definitely not living room for dwarves. Stone room. Forge room, I don't know, something. Yeah. And I think and we kind of ended in a scene there where everyone was kind of making conversation. Liriel was talking with your mother.
They got a ring from Drilly.
Yes, and Drilly, who is your niece, who actually is so young she's never met you, had a ring that was like her name, and she was very taken with the idea of an elf who will live forever taking this ring that had her name on it, because she's kind of like a preteen. She's like equivalent of like 13 in dwarven years, like having a ring with her name on it forever. And that was kind of something that really like excited her and like made her think about things in a very different way. So yeah, it was a very overall, I guess most of our sessions are very wholesome, but that one really felt very wholesome in a lot of different ways. We're going to go ahead and start off with, you went to go visit Gail Sharpstone, who also works with Philip Bouldersong. Philip Bouldersong is the old stone singer. Do you remember which one you gave both names, or was it?
I said both names.
Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of.
Yeah, they work together. So Gail Sharpstone was the one who was actually the jewelry craftsperson. And you would probably know that. I'm sure when you actually, if you were talking to actual Runa and not me trying to be Samantha being Runa, which, by the way, people said I did a pretty good job for like the 5 lines I said.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's probably where you were headed, to Gail Sharpstone.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Now you are definitely not, you do not get to travel Runa through the city unremarked upon. Because now there's a lot happening today. There's a bunch of elves in the city too, which is a much bigger deal than a human wandering through, but that's also kind of a big deal. So the dwarves don't generally like welcome people in very often, and definitely not elves. So the fact that they've gone through and now you're kind of wandering by yourself, like people aren't coming up and confronting you about it, but there's definitely like a very clear audit, like think about like when you were walking through like the Shire and like the like gossips poking their heads out and all that stuff, like multiply that times like 7.
Okay.
Because like the Shire, like they're busybodies and gossips, but they're kind of used, the roads run through the Shire, like people wander off, like they're used to seeing other people. These people are not used to seeing other people in their city. So they do a lot of trade and stuff with other people, but all of that happens outside. Actually, you coming into their mountain is very odd. So yeah, you probably even noticed that there's probably some guards. They're not aggressive, but they're kind of just like flanking you, whether it's to keep people from bothering you or to keep an eye on you, or maybe both. It's hard to tell.
I think she's probably assuming both.
Yeah.
Runa is unbothered by this. She's used to going places where she's not supposed to be. And one of her characteristics is that she is very confident. So I think when she notices that people are talking about her and that the guards are following her, she kind of unconsciously like straightens up a little bit and just adds like the teensiest bit of extra swagger to her walk so the swords move a little bit.
Yeah. And you did walk in with Hannar. So the guards like have kind of relayed the message that you are there, and there is a dwarf who's responsible for you, and he's of a very prominent family in this city. So you've kind of been given a pass, but also like they're watching you very closely. So you make your way. You probably have to ask for directions a few times. You notice that there's a bunch of kids like following you around, like again very similar to the hobbits, except unlike the hobbit kids who are like excited and happy and like, oh hey, I'm gonna touch them, like I'm gonna touch the butt. I like Finding Nemo, I'm sorry. Like things like that, like these are much more like suspicious, like, oh look at, there's a dangerous thing. And like, so it's a little bit older kids, and little kids legit like see you and like hide. They have no idea what to make of you. But like, it's a little bit more like preteens and teens, like showing how like cool they are and they're not afraid. And this is our town. They're not saying anything, but it's just, you can definitely kind of imagine that they are daring each other. Oh, how close are you going to get to the human? Things like that. So there's definitely this like ring of flurried activity and kind of a big empty space around you as well.
It's totally that like overhead drone shot of the shark swimming through a school of
Oh,
fish.
yeah.
It's exactly.
Just this gap, but then everybody.
Yeah, everyone around is very aware of that. So that's what's happening. And I will just say, for sake of time, that Hannar kind of gave you some rudimentary directions.
Sure, yeah. I wouldn't have been like,
Go find it.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
I
not,
know you don't read the language either.
Yeah. I will tell you that there are some birds like flying around.
Okay.
So because it's a very large cavern, and as we discussed last time, it's not pitch black at all. There's a lot of like torches and firelight, and there's also these lights coming through the mountain. They've actually drilled holes to let in sunlight.
Cool.
And then that light is refracted through the use of different mirrors and metals and things. So it is actually like very bright for inside of a mountain. Not what you expected.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's birds. Like there's like kind of pigeon equivalents, not quite so gross, but like prettier.
Yeah.
And there's also things like sparrows. There's no big birds. There's no birds of prey or anything in here.
Okay.
This is it. You very much get the idea like little birds made their way in here, and they probably have like their own kind of offshoots of a very common species now that have only lived in this cave for a really long time, and now that's what they are.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like the little bird that you see inside the big box stores.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm at the home improvement place, and there's just these
Birds.
3 birds that know which aisle the bird seed's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they flew in at one point, and then
They nest up in the garden section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they kind of fly by a little bit, but they're a little too far away for you to catch any or speak to them. But if you wanted to at some point, you could probably get their attention.
Okay. Like noted, if I need a distraction, I could ask the birds to help.
Yes, talking to birds would be a very big distraction.
I don't get the birds to make a
No,
distraction.
just kidding.
Interculture incident.
It's fine. So you make your way to Gale Sharpstone's
Awesome.
store. It's more of a shop. Like it's her workshop, and also there's a few things on display. But she's a high enough caliber. She mostly does like custom pieces at this point.
Oh, cool.
So
Awesome.
yeah, there's some examples of what she's done, but it's very much like a word of mouth. Like, hey, I have a special thing I have to buy for someone, and you'd go to her.
Okay. Cool. Is the door open? Can I just go in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got doors open because the front is very much like a shop. You get the idea that there's also like a more of a living quarters a little bit farther back, which I think Hannar actually was asked back to last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she
there's,
didn't want to just be like, here, out in the front.
Yeah.
Let's cut into this horrifying pearl.
right.
Don't have anything
Yeah.
in it. Don't worry about
Could
it.
be dangerous.
Yeah. So there's like a big curtain, and you get the idea that there's like more past that. But
Gotcha.
and you walk in, and she is immediately attentive and looks over and just like doesn't know what to do.
Hello. My name is Runa. I'm a friend of Hannar.
Hello. Oh, excellent. Okay, and that like completely changes her demeanor. Because at first she's just like, oh, there's
There's
a human in my shop. There's a human. What is happening? And then when you
I'm
mentioned
in peace.
yeah,
It's fine.
now you had already written to her, right, Hannar, and
Yeah.
like updated her. Okay, so she's.
And I sent her that elven.
Oh, that's right. That's
thing.
right. So yeah, a gift. And you actually, like, Runa probably doesn't necessarily know to look for it, but it is actually sitting like on a shelf, like up in the top,
Oh, cool.
kind of like a thing. Definitely not like obvious. Kind of a little bit farther.
Sure.
It's a flex for the tall folk.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she just doesn't want it like sitting everywhere. Like,
Like, you don't want to be like, look at this beautiful elven piece I have.
that I didn't.
I can't make that for you.
Oh, well, that is excellent. Hannar came home then,
He is here, yes. Not with me
How-
right now,
right?
obviously.
How is that going?
Oh, I don't know. I came here immediately.
Oh,
I guess we'll find out later.
she kind of like gives you a nod and like, ooh. She kind of like peeks out the window.
He's got two of our other friends with him. They are elves. They're very diplomatic.
Oh. He went home with two elves.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We should probably what was it that you needed, my friend?
Oh, so we killed some burnt beasts in the Shire, and I found this in one of their mouths, and I've been carrying it around for a while, and I kind of figured maybe I should figure out what it does, or where it's from. And seeing as how you're the most talented jeweler that Hannar knows.
Oh. Yeah, thanks.
Wow. I don't know any jewelers.
She kind of like looks at it. He says what it does? What do you mean what it does? She like flips it. She's got like glasses. She doesn't actually wear glasses, but they're kind of like a little bit of like a headband. That then she like flips down, and it does have like the like many lenses that she can like change out so that she can see different things about the thing.
Jeweler's loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I think I meant what it is.
Oh,
Sorry, it's been a day.
Smooth save.
I want you to roll. Please roll riddle for me.
Oh, I don't have that.
Weird.
Persuade?
Nope. Riddle.
No.
Speak guardedly.
Oh.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
It specifically lists that as
What
a
do I
thing.
roll if I don't have any dots in
Just
that?
the
Just the
Just
beat
the
die.
Okay.
I believe in you.
No.
Okay.
I got half of my TN.
So Gail knows that you've had a Palantir. She knows that you've all gotten up into a whole lot of mischief. She knows you've met the elves. She's like, She kind of like gives you a little bit of a side eye.
That's fine.
Yeah. So it doesn't do anything? Because such information could be pretty vital when it comes to placing the item. I mean, Hannar trusted me with a much bigger, round, powerful secret.
This is true. I haven't seen it do anything,
Okay.
but it probably does something magical.
Probably.
I mean, you don't just find regular jewelry in the mouths of beasts,
That is-
generally.
That's accurate. Mouths of beasts, dark beasts. And you haven't felt any ill effects? You haven't become ill?
No,
Greedier if you wanted to kill Hannar in the night?
no, not any more than usual,
Oh, okay. But, okay.
which is 0.
Oh, okay. Ahem. All right. It might take a few minutes. Would you like something to drink or?
Oh, sure. I'd actually like to take a look at your wares while I'm here.
Yes, please do. The one on the top of the bookshelf over there, the one a little bit hidden, probably looks fairly familiar. I mean, at least Hannar sent it to me. I don't know if you were with him when he bought it.
Cyanide? I don't remember.
I think so.
I think
Is it
so.
like Mithlond?
Somebody
the
hit
Midland.
with me. I don't recall.
I think it was you.
Maybe.
Because you were sausage.
Sausage. I think sausage went with you.
Okay. I honestly.
Someone
for the
was
life of me, I
doing
don't
jewelry
remember.
stuff.
I was probably climbing stuff.
In Mithlond?
No, I didn't climb anything in there.
Maybe
No.
It might have been sausage.
It's like, no, you didn't.
No, you did not.
No climbing.
There's no climbing in Midland.
Just Runa's just clinging to the outside of the tower.
Kid in the tower.
The White Tower.
It's like, get down from there. Okay. Sorry. All right. Tone. Sorry. We're all just excited because we haven't seen each other all together in like the whole 2 weeks. All right. So she like gets you a tankard of like dwarven ale, equivalent of like lemonade or sweet tea.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then starts like looking. She goes over to her work table and she's like tapping on things. She's like holding it up at different lights. She has like a little reflective thing that like she lights a candle and then it like brightens the light to like a beam, where then she can like see the clarity of like the gem and things like that. And it is very old. But the strangest thing, it doesn't look old. It looks nearly brand new. Did you clean it? Did you spend much time cleaning it?
No.
There is not the normal like wear and buildup of jewelry. One moment. She goes back behind the curtain and you hear like the appropriate rustling and knocking and moving of things, like she's looking for something. And then she brings back out like a box. It's just a kind of a very basic looking wooden box. And she lifts out of it a very strange contraption that has like these little pinchers in the middle. It's like a little like vice grip, and she like puts the ring in there and like tightens it so it's like sitting there in the middle. And then these two little like arms fold out around it, and they both have like sort of look like tuning forks, but they have multiple prongs on each one. And so she kind of like taps them and they both make these very different tones, and she like spins it and it kind of goes around, and then you kind of see the ring itself start to kind of just like vibrate a little bit and make some noise back.
Ooh.
So it hits like there's like the triad, like the high note and the low note, and then the ring itself makes the middle note of the 3-tone triad of the chord. Yes, it is definitely magical. Well, and strangely, it's dwarven.
Oh. That is odd.
It is odd. I mean, well, and she kind of like stops the little spinning things and she picks it up. It does not seem to be nefarious at all. And it doesn't seem, normally when I tune to the jewelry, it has an off tone if it has been corrupted in some way or if it is cursed. But this one does not. It sings very clearly.
That is good news indeed. Not cursed. Great.
I mean, yet. And you all have a lot of adventures.
That's true. But if it gets cursed, probably so do I. So
Yeah, you'd
I won't
probably
blame it
know
on the
about
ring.
that, I would think, yes. But I would say that you found a ring of perhaps the old Blue Mountain dwarves from generations ago.
Fascinating.
Perhaps the beasts that you found were part of maybe they lived in like an old dwarven stronghold at some point.
How curious.
Yes. I mean, there's many in the mountains, and unfortunately, there are many beasts, and not so many burn beasts, but I've heard of wolves and bears and such things living in the caves.
Oh, speaking of bears, have you heard of a beast living in the mountains nearby? There's an old dwarven mine. We've heard some rumors of a
But they were
large beast.
Many old dwarven mines. I mean, we are living in an old dwarven mine here, yes.
Yeah. I'll explain to her where the specific
Oh, yeah.
one is.
She, like, starts laughing out loud. You mean the Terror of Angmar? That's an old story they tell dwarven children to get them to go to bed.
So no truth to it then.
Not that I am aware of. I mean, such a strange, like, a bear with a human face. I mean, please. They didn't even have enough imagination to come up with something truly terrifying.
Like a giant fish.
That would be very terrifying, especially in a mountain. She, like, seems very disconcerted by that thought.
Yeah, actually.
Although, I mean, the mountains were flooded eons ago, so who knows how? I mean, maybe a large fish got in.
Could be.
There could be.
Not a man-bear fish. That's too far.
Oh yeah,
But,
the good old blue mountain fish. Yeah.
Yes.
What's that super venomous rockfish?
The lionfish?
No.
No.
It's
The one with the stinger.
Yeah. Like it often found in tide pool areas.
Oh.
And it just likes waiting there to stab somebody in the foot and kill them.
Yeah, it's got a
Like,
it's got a
yeah,
really
it's a
like
whole
yeah.
thing.
They have a really weird stinger too because it's like they're made to lay on the bottom. The ocean's terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway, now that we've scared Kimmy, fish are
They're
weird.
not local to California.
Oh,
No,
good.
no,
I
no.
was like, I
There's
guess
one
I
of
was
those-
like the
it's a
marine
tropical
biologist
fish.
kid, so I was like always in
Yeah.
the tide pools. I'm like, I've escaped death so many times. I didn't even know. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
You're safe.
That's normal. Tropical things are deadly and scary. All right, but yeah, so she like very much like brushes that off as
Okay.
rumor, and my gran used to tell me all about that, and she like kind of goes into like how silly it was, and yes. But it is possible that your burn beasts might be in such a place, and might actually, perhaps things like that are where the rumor of the Terror of Angmar came from.
That certainly could be. I have seen weirder. Do you want to see a haunted bird cage?
Well, yes. I mean, is it still haunted?
No, not anymore. We
Oh.
got the ghost.
Oh, good. You have a lot of strange things. I don't know why she shouldn't be. Sorry, I'm doing elf voice. You have a lot of strange things.
It's true. We do.
Yes.
We've found a lot of strange things. Pulls out the haunted bird
Yeah,
cage to show
she'll
her.
look at the bird cage. Yes.
Just as a heads up, there seems to be some kind of a network error issue going on.
Uh-oh. Are people streaming the
No?
show? No, okay.
Mm-mm.
Then
Make
we will
sure
see.
what I was streaming.
It, like-
was off.
The connection has been like, it's great, just fine, and then
Uh-oh.
it's real slow, and then it's fine, and then it's real slow.
Mm.
Now we're back to green.
Okay.
Hopefully we stay there.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Just want to give you a heads up.
yeah, thank you. All right. So, yes. So she looks at the bird cage. She gives you some
Chat with her about
information.
treasure things
Yeah.
and probably buy a piece from her to take back to my grandmother.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, she tells you like the birdcage is very clearly human make, old for humans,
Yeah.
such things.
Less out of learning and more just like, hey, look at this thing I found.
Yeah. Yeah. She's excited about that. Yeah.
Cool. I'm assuming I know where Hannar's house is vaguely.
Gail can walk you there.
Okay, great.
She's happy to do that.
Scale.
She's super curious too, like about how this ended up with Hannar going home finally, but with two elves. It's like a whole thing. So she's being very kind and helpful, but also like a little bit of a busybody vibe happening.
Yeah, it's also fine because I think I'll get followed maybe a little bit less if I'm actually with a dwarf.
Yeah, for sure. and a well-known dwarf who's an excellent craftsman and all these things.
Yes.
So yeah, she escorts you there, and then she like is outside the door, and she's like listening. It's very quiet.
I don't hear any yelling. It's a good sign.
It's either very good or very bad.
I'm gonna go with good.
Yeah.
I think the living room has to be called the Holdfast.
Oh, perfect.
And it's sort of just a tradition to build the like centerpiece of the house, almost like a safe room,
Yeah.
but like carve it directly out of the stone
Mm-hmm.
so that you can shutter it up and the family could be safe there in the event of an attack or whatever, that kind of thing.
That's
So that's probably
amazing.
the tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super rad.
I love that. Absolutely. Everything about that is what is happening in canon in our story. Well, good luck, my friends. And if you need help or maybe sound the alarm or something,
I think I'll be all right, but thank you. I appreciate it.
all right.
If I find any more weird jewelry, I'll come and bring it to you.
I would love that. Hannar has been writing me missives about your adventures, but he does often leave out the details of the specific treasures and things you come across.
Yeah, he does that sometimes.
So if you want to send letters my way, I would love more updates from.
That sounds lovely.
Yes, it would be delightful to correspond with you.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
And I'll knock or whatever
Yeah.
on the door.
And like nothing happens for a minute. And if you knock again,
Yeah.
okay, then you hear this like on the other side of the door, and then like the door's opened by a very young-looking little dwarf. He's got just like a little bit of beard, like which means he's very young.
Aw.
So he's the equivalent of like 8.
Ooh.
He looks like 8 or 9 with like stubble. Hello and welcome to our home. Are you an elf?
No. I'm a human.
Whoa.
Yeah, weird, huh? I'm a friend of Hannar's. Is he here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you have like? Can you like prove? I mean, you're sure you're not an elf?
Pretty
you-
sure.
You're shorter than the elves, but you
Yeah.
look kind of the same, and you don't have a beard.
No, humans also don't have beards sometimes,
Oh.
but sometimes they do.
Oh. That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know there's an elf that has a beard? I just heard another elf talking about it.
There's only one though.
I know, one. He's like the luckiest elf ever.
I think he would agree.
Anyway, yes. And he like gets formal again. Welcome to our home. Please come this way, and I will take you to my uncle Hannar, your friend.
Thank you.
And then he walks, and kind of like down this like long hallway. You kind of come into the center, and there's like a tiny little like bright, shining like silvery thing that has like a little flame on top of it. That's just like a burning candle thing, and there's a bunch of like words in Dwarvish like etched in the stone around it. Like it's very obviously like this is like the pride point of the home. It's a little strange. It's just a little candle with like some silver on it. Would you recognize Mithril if you saw it?
I don't know.
Okay. It's
let's find
beautiful. Yeah. Here,
Yes.
why don't you do a lore roll for
Oh,
me?
do a little.
Roll it for real.
Yeah.
Roll it for real. Let's see.
Because like I know you'd know what Mithril was.
Oh no.
Oh,
No idea.
but you've
That's
never
an absolute no.
No, yeah. But
Definitely
you've never
no.
seen it. Like, it's not a thing.
I
So
assume-
yeah, it's like this weird
Seems
little
important
candle
to them.
thing. That's nice. That's so nice. You have nicer things, but whatever. And he like walks you down the thing as he's giving
The
like
candlestick worth half of brie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
yeah. And this little dwarf is like giving the very formal dwarven introduction, which is saying like the lineage of their house.
Oh.
So it is like as you're walking down this long hallway, you see like these woven tapestries, and it's beautiful. There's like light bouncing around all in here, all carved beautifully out of the mountain itself. but in a way that it doesn't seem like that. It seems like it's all carved stone that was brought here, but then when you really look, you're like, no, this is all the same. And it's the same as the whole mountain.
Fascinating.
But it's also covered with like lush tapestries and fabrics, and it's just really beautiful. And so he's like, son of so-and-so and daughter of da-da-da is da-da-da, and down the lineage, and just as he's getting to the end of the hall. And then there is, Bruni, son of Hundar, father of your friend Hannar, and like...
I'm assuming I can hear this by this
Yeah.
point.
But, well, actually, I don't think you can. Because this friendly conversation that is happening in, sorry, what did you say the center part?
Holdfast?
The holdfast of the house has drawn the entire family, which is why only this little kid was able to
God.
hear the door. So there are 2 elves and Hannar holding court in the holdfast. And, like, the doorway, you can see that there are actually many hallways and doors coming from different rooms once you get closer. And like even the little 8-year-old has to like push people aside to like get you through. Hey, move! I have a human. There's a human here. She's Hannar's friend. They do not have a beard. And like just like pushing. And then he like walks in and suddenly like everyone's turning and looking at you. There's a human too. He knows a human too. Blah, 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 blah. And you see an older dwarf that is like the spitting image of Hannar, like sitting in the center of the room. There's kind of there's this beautiful dwarven helmet on the far side, like on a pillar. And there's seats that are also, you notice, carved out of the mountain, but with beautiful pillows and blankets and. Just, it's a very lavish, comfortable room, even though it's carved out of stone, strangely. Cool. Yeah, and there are dwarves everywhere around the edge of this room. Little dwarves, big dwarves, old dwarves, young dwarves. There's a lot of dwarves who live in this house. Probably at least like 20 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. But there's like a main conversation happening with your friends, and what you see is Hannar's probably closest relatives. His mother, that's got to be his father, because they look exactly the same, just like older. And even their facial expressions and like when they find things amusing, like the same, like his smirk and like things like that. And then others who look similar enough that you can assume that they are brothers or sisters or things like that. So, and then they're just kind of like relaying different adventures that they've been on. So you're picking up pieces and things like that. And the little 8-year-old goes in, I have I forgot to ask your name.
It's okay. It's Runa
Runa
of Bree.
of Bree? Is Bree your mother's name?
No, it's place.
Oh. Runa, who does not have a mother's name, of Bree.
She does have a name.
Oh.
It's Valdis.
Oh. Runa, daughter of Valdis, who came from a place called Bree. And
Close enough.
Well done.
he looks very proud of himself, and he takes a very big bow. And then, like, scurries off. And you walk into the room, and they're sitting and having a conversation. Which story are you telling to Hannar's family? What do you think, Hannar?
Well, I think the first story I would have brought up is the fish,
Okay.
right? Because that was a big deal. It's probably... I think it's probably the dwarven-built keep, like Celebrimbor's secret.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Keep.
Calameldon's, like, tower.
Yeah. I think that's probably what it was. Like,
Okay.
oh, it was dwarven craftsmanship, elven design, and then I'd probably go into, like, in Dwarvish, I would probably say, like, not a good foundation. It's a bit sank into the swamp, but
Okay.
Aerlind
Yeah.
trying to understand so aggressively why you switched into Dwarvish.
but it was beautiful. It was
Liriel
a
knowing
great
he
design.
said something.
Oh, for sure. I think Hannar even probably does the like. It's sunk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So you walk in, and everyone's kind of looking up. Oh!
Hello.
I would make introductions. Mother, father, brothers, sisters, that huge party around the room of like, here's all these people. You'll never remember any of these names.
Yeah.
Party
I know
room.
that.
So many.
Yeah.
There you go. And then everybody, this is Runa.
Yeah. So, there's tons of little. Basically, everyone there is related to Hannar in some way,
Yeah.
either by marriage or nieces, nephews, second nephews, nieces, whatever it is. Like,
There's absolutely like a cutoff point, though. You can tell, like, it's just an age thing. Like, less than 80? Hannar doesn't know. Like, and that's great. One of my nieces or nephews, and that's
I think she very like graciously like thanks his parents for like thank you for letting us into your home and welcoming us. Much appreciated. It's lovely to meet Hannar's family. And then to Hannar to the side, she's like, "Are you related to all of these people?"
yes. I do have quite a few brothers. Oh. Yes, I do have quite a few brothers and sisters.
yes.
It's the biggest family I've ever seen.
I didn't anticipate this warm a reception.
I'm pleased to see it.
Yes, I am as well.
It sounded like you were telling them about what we found in the swamp.
Yes.
The Great Palace.
Yes.
You
Sunken
undersell it.
So we're gonna say that you kind of just have like a nice
Yeah.
evening.
Sure.
You are welcomed to a great dwarven feast in a dining hall that is one of the longest tables you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Save only for like the long ones at Rivendell. But again, like there still doesn't fit everyone here. So only dwarves of like a certain age are like allowed at this table. And so during the thing, there's lots of little dwarves poking their head, go, and then they get shooed away and things like that.
They come up and steal rolls
Yeah, things like
and
that.
run off.
Yeah.
Aerlind finds every opportunity to talk to Droney or any of the siblings that he saw in the forge
Oh, yeah.
specifically, but starts to like what was a conversation about craftsmanship evolves into a conversation of trying to understand how the heritage of dwarves connects to the forging in their work.
Oh, okay.
And there's kind of a thread of like, I understand how my craft is of my people, and now I am trying to very obtusely, since my friend does not have this deep knowledge, understand this thing. But it's just very good schmoozing, but it is schmoozing with purpose.
Yeah. So the most open ones, Deirdre and also his sister Hezgra. Hezgra is the mother of the little dwarf who gave you the ring. And they both end up sitting near you, and they're very talkative and very open and very verbose. And you get a very clear, like, the women of this family are very, like, it's somewhat matriarchal. Like, other than, like, the forge, like, the home is absolutely, like, a matriarchal place. So even though these two sisters work at the forge, they are, like, they tell their brothers what to do a lot. Even Hannar, like, who's been gone forever, like, they find themselves, like, telling him what to do, and then, like, just out of habit, because they boss their brothers around a little bit. But they kind of talk about how, for dwarves are of the earth. And so it's something for them that, at least for their family, even though that, like, their great grandsire was a warrior, that this is their way of kind of paying like honor to the earth that they were made from. And they have very specific techniques and ways of doing armor that are part of their family line that they pass down. And part of it was created by their grandfather and kind of perfected by their father. And they see it as their duty to also, you know, it's their passion. They feel like a calling for it. And they compare it to stone singers who are kind of have their calling, and it's something that, you know, some people just have a gift for, and their family just happens to have the gift of, like, forging metal. And then they kind of make a joke about it. Not all of us have it. And look at Hannar. They do it quietly enough not to say it, like, loudly to, like, hurt Hannar's feelings. But hey, that seems to be fixing too now on your adventures. That's amazing. But they see that very much as like almost more than heirlooms. Like this ability is kind of their heirloom and being able to make these things. And they do see it as a way of like protecting and keeping their people safe, like making these beautiful pieces of armor. While it is an art and brings fulfillment to them the way like art does for anyone, like it is also something that is also very useful and keeps their people alive and hopefully like keeps their people thriving in this fairly dangerous place in the world.
It's beautiful. Aerlind makes a point to say that the knowledge that they keep and the gifts that they bring are the image of Ulmo.
Oh.
And that Hannar's gifts are in the image of others of the Valar.
They're very touched when you said. Ulmo is the Valar who sculpted the dwarfs. So, broke a couple rules to do it, but they
whatever.
Yeah,
Renegade Valar, no
It's
big
fine.
deal.
But they he's like their Valar.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of their home is decorated with things like that are in his honor. And they nod and they agree and they tell you some of the legends of their grandfather, Bravith. And, it's, I mean, maybe not. Like you fought a giant fish monster. It feels a little like blown up over the many retellings. But it does, in a very interesting way, kind of remind you of Hannar. So they kind of are sharing those like family myths with you.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'm talking with Hannar's mother, and I'm asking her questions about their ancestor who was the warrior, and if he had ever fought the terror of Angmar, or if he had ever, and just kind of getting her to tell me stories so that from a tactical perspective, even folktales speak of weaknesses, and strengths and things like that, things that you might not expect. So just kind of asking her to retell the stories. And I know this is a story you just tell children, but I would love to hear it, and then asking her if her ancestor had any experience with such a beast.
They don't know if Bravith specifically fought that. There's a lot of stories of him fighting monsters. So, suddenly in front of your eyes, yes, I'm sure he did. Like, it kind of, like, morphs into, well, of course he did. But, I don't know if that's true. But they do have a lot of, like, lore that's, like, kind of like the equivalent of, like, urban legends in Dwarven. So, she says, well, I was told that it loves hot blood. So what it does is it attacks its victim and then drinks all the blood. And then after it's all gone, then it eats what is left of its victim. No, I don't know if perhaps like drawing the blood out, maybe that's why it's lived so long. Because it was supposedly a great pet of the Witch King of Angmar. But, of course, they're gone.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, of course.
Hey, she's never seen Lord of the Rings, okay?
It hasn't happened yet.
No, that's what I'm saying.
None of us have.
No, it's not just she doesn't go to movies.
Yes.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I'm just kind of milling around and asking for other folk tales. Because there's a lot of truth in folk tales.
Yeah.
And so it'll tell me a lot about the area. It will tell me a lot about their culture. It will tell me, a great deal. So I'm just asking people to tell me their stories.
Yeah. There's a lot. It seems like the terror of Angmar has been seen everywhere, from like the closet in a little kid's room to like the ocean or the river that kids are not supposed to swim in, to like legit, like maybe it used to be here, to like actual caves and places that have been. So it's very clear that like this has been used for quite many generations to get kids to do whatever they are, or keep kids from doing anything they're not supposed to do. So, oh, you're not supposed to swim in the river; it's dangerous. Oh, the terror of Angmar swims in that river.
Like
You know,
Leonona, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But there are also small things like, the drinking of the blood, which
Yeah, that one I hadn't
yeah,
heard,
and
right?
it sleeps on the bones of its victims, and giant piles, and and some say it's the same beast that's been the terror. Some say that there are many of it. That the original one had pups, and now they live, or whatever bear babies are called, cubs.
Cubs. You're good.
I mean, it's like a human. It's very
It's
weird,
a
creepy thing.
Human-faced
Yeah.
bear thing,
So,
so I
yeah.
think pups is fair.
For a little while, I was feeling a little more confident because I was like, if you take away a bear's face, that's like 50% of its horrifying attack,
That's true.
right?
True.
Like their claws are bad, but like it's the bite force giant jaw thing, and if you put a human head on there, it's not as horrifying. But now we're back to maybe it's a vampire human bear, and that's even
With
worse.
bear strength jaws.
It's like, oh, come on.
Okay. A lot of the caverns in the mountains are actually flooded from that original.
And it's aquatic.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of stories, and especially like in the rivers, like where obviously they don't want dwarven kids are not good swimmers. I'm just gonna put that out there in the canon.
They're built very densely.
They are very dense and have wee little
I
arms.
mean, legit, my introduction to the game was almost drowning.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's on theme. It makes sense. So there are a lot of stories that do involve the terror swimming. Nothing that says specifically it's aquatic in any way. It's not a fish, but there's a lot of stories with that. Whether that's because they want to keep little kids away from the water, or whether it actually does swim, it's impossible to tell. But through the night, you do. I mean, as people are talking about the tunnels in the mountains, I think some of them have been like flooded, like because the during the big battle against Morgoth, like the legends say, there were dwarves living all through these mountains, but they were completely wiped out. Like the battle of the Valar against the evil Valar, like rended the earth. The whole you weren't here, so I'm kind of going over what we did last time. The whole bay that became Mithlond is actually a scar on the land from that battle. And like the water was pushed back, and then it came rushing back in and flooded the mountains, which took out the old dwarves of the Blue Mountains. And so it literally flooded them all out.
Wow.
And then, so the ocean eventually receded, but there's still a lot of stuff that's scary and wet. And, some of it's dried out, like this cavern where Durin's folk came back and started building this and kind of like reclaiming some of the mines here. But there's still a lot of unknowns and still flooded areas and stuff in the mountains.
At least if it's flooded, there's probably not balrogs.
Yeah. I've never actually thought about
There's
whether
a plus
balrogs
there.
can swim or.
They probably can.
Yeah.
They're like divinely powered, but it's fine.
It's fine. I can't imagine that would be comfortable for a being that's kind of-
Volcanoes.
Yeah.
At the very least, you'd see them coming because of the steam.
True.
Or not see them because of the amount of steam.
Well, yeah, but like if you
but you
just
see the
you're-
amount of steam, and you're
You're
like,
Volcano. I
guess
have to
what?
leave, actually.
Yeah,
Time to
this is
go.
not a place I want to be right
Yeah.
Ooh, hot spring though.
Yes. So yeah, there's just like a lot of things like that.
and not just myths and legends about the terror,
Yeah.
like just any stories. I just want to hear their stories.
There's a few who are able to give you some kind of rudimentary knowledge of some of the mines here. None of them have been explored deeply, but a couple of them have gone on expeditions and stuff to go looking around and see what might be found, or if ore is in one of them, or if a certain passage might be able to be settled one day, things like that. So,
Okay.
Runa, what conversations do you want to have with Hannar's family?
Oh, great question. Let's see.
Also, just having like embarrassing baby stories is
Yeah, I
legit
feel like
answer.
she is the person who would ask about
Yeah.
the stories from when
About baby
Hannar
Hannar.
was young.
Okay.
when he was here, yeah.
Hannar, what is the embarrassing story that you really didn't want anyone to hear that is told to Runa by your mother
Man.
Oh, I think it's got to be that like Hannar didn't start getting his beard in until he was very old.
Oh no.
So like it was very much babyface Hannar like for a long while.
Okay.
Probably like until the equivalent of like mid high school
No.
when most dwarves are getting it in like elementary school. So it
Yeah.
was years of like, and my mother would probably 100% tell stories about how like he would rub rock powder on his face to try and get it to grow, and like he just didn't know what to do, and he's like doing all kinds of stupid home remedies, like go and put your face near a flame for like put your face near the forge and it'll help grow, and like all kinds of stupid
Rough.
things that were not true at all, but the rest of the family was probably like
Yeah.
Oh.
like we don't want to laugh at him, but
That's an open window for sibling ridicule.
Yeah.
When you
Oh,
have that many
100%.
siblings,
Oh,
if
for sure.
if any of them were old enough, oof.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, Droney, like for sure, started getting his beard in way earlier than you did, even
Oh,
though
yeah.
he's younger than you. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oof. That's rough stuff.
Yeah, super rough.
which is probably like
It's a late blooming.
it
thing, I feel like.
100% makes sense why Hannar spends so much time trying to take care of his beard.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
Like now that I
appreciates it.
have it,
Yeah, now it must be preserved.
Let's see.
I think as much as Runa enjoys the embarrassing Hannar stories, she would probably like counter them by telling Hannar's mom like heroic stories from like her hanging out with Hannar, like how what is the bird person's name again in the swamp?
Oh, the
the ghost
Ghost
bird.
Ghost
Ghost bird, yeah.
Oh, Ghostbird.
I'm
How
like
you, like,
Redbird. No,
Almost
that's not
like
Ghost bird.
one-shotted the ghost bird like
Yeah.
immediately.
Good.
It's like legendary swamp protector.
it. Yeah. And as you are telling more and more of these tales, like Hannar, you can feel kind of the shift in the room, and like it started way back, like when you were all first telling the first stories, when you were telling them, "Hey, I'm a warrior." But as they hear more and more of the adventures and the things you've done, like you feel like genuine respect and even a little bit of envy, like from like different members of your family. Even your father, by the time like the evening kind of is closing out, like maybe I should have, before I'd settled down and made the forge, maybe I should have gone adventuring myself, like things like that. Like it's
Let's see the world.
yeah. So and to varying levels of parental stress and anger and joy, a lot of your nieces and nephews are like, I'm gonna go adventuring someday.
Well, I'm sure Aerlind doesn't make it better by saying, and I'm off doing that exact same thing before I take my journey.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
my elven duty.
yeah.
My entire line of maternal line.
Yeah,
does
yeah.
that for a living.
Yes.
Yeah.
For like
Exactly.
generations.
We're great examples for this family.
Yeah.
All of the young female dwarves.
Yeah.
Built my grandmother.
They're very excited about that. Well, my great grandsire was an adventurer too. Like maybe I could do that too. So
Bad influence.
maybe in a few generations the forge will be empty and they will all be adventurers. Who knows?
Hannar brought all his musician friends, and now all the kids want to be rock stars.
Yeah. So let's after dinner we definitely have like you playing like music for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're all amazed. There are some musicians, they kind of join in, the ones who are able and have instruments, but for the most part they're just like fascinated to hear this music that is so different from what they do.
And also specifically definitely playing the song from Illuminus and
Yes.
saying like this is a song that without Hannar's help and the gift of your people we would never have heard.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think sometime through the evening, I would probably go talk to my mom about the weird little twinkles of magic. Bless you.
See,
Just to be like, so occasionally I'm just sort of inspired to make things happen. And sometimes it works. And the best way I can describe it is just seeing something out of the corner of my eye that knows that I know that I could do better if I focused on it for a second. You know, like I'd probably just see if like she's ever heard anything like that. Is this something that is in the family, or am I just weird, or
She's a little baffled at first, like, what? Are you sure it's not just indigestion? Did you eat something strange before?
well, I mean, if it was that predictable, I would totally use that. But it's, and I think, excuse me, I think I'd probably try it a little bit, like just as a demonstration. Probably tied to Enhearten, right? Like, because as the evening wears on, I feel like it would probably become evident that while we're all having a great time and this is a wonderful stop, we're going to be leaving like tomorrow.
Yeah.
And going who knows where and seeing who knows what and maybe not coming back. That kind of a thing. So I think like I would probably try and do the mechanical Enhearten thing before I leave.
Okay.
Kind of a deal.
Yeah.
And see if I can make it work.
Okay. Good. Like with your mom right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. So I got a Gandalf and totally made it.
Amazing.
Nice.
Like she feels it and she's just like, that is amazing. Did your elven friends teach you this?
No, it came out from me. And I've used it several times in different ways. Just, it feels very old. Like it's been around a long time. And I'm just sort of brushing the dust off when I use it.
Maybe speak with your grandmother. She's the oldest one left of them. And she actually knew Bravith before he went back to the earth.
It's a good idea. That is a good idea.
Just a little like off put a little bit. Like not just like a little concerned, like a little worried. So you get the feeling this is not something she's gonna like bring up to your dad later.
No, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like,
We can just pass on that part.
yeah.
That's fine.
No, but I do want you to talk to your grandma.
Yes.
Okay.
So I will totally go
Okay.
make my way over to do such a thing.
Okay, so Dursina, we talked about last time, daughter of Dalt Grana, is your paternal grandmother and like the
okay.
oldest still living like elder of your family. She gets a lot of deference and things, but still often like is kind of like left out of big decisions now.
Sure.
And she is like very old for a dwarf. So later on, like we'll say maybe your friends you've all been given like rooms to stay in and things like that. You get it's kind of the vibe of, while this is a very large house, it's also a very large family. So it's kind of like when you go stay at a relative's for Thanksgiving and they like kick the kids out, so the kids end up on air mattresses in one room all together.
So our beds are even smaller than dwarven beds. They're dwarven children's beds.
Yeah, well, they're full size beds, but like these are like obviously like teen dwarven rooms, like. So it's like okay, but
We're all sleeping diagonally on the
yeah,
Like curled up all night.
very comfortable, but also a little bit weak. Yeah. Yeah, so in the evening, you probably find your grandmother sitting out in like the courtyard with she's probably tending to the plants. Those are kind of her fancy thing.
Oh.
Sure. And I think I'd probably approach it just as straightforwardly as possible. Like, I'm so glad to see that you're still well.
Well, thank you. I thought I would hold out at least long enough to try and see you again. I'm glad that you came home.
Well, I certainly hope you keep holding out for much, much longer.
Oh, yes. Well, it seems now that I have many, many great-grandchildren who are going to go off adventuring that I will have to wait around for. And she kind of like winks at you.
I understand. I think many of them will get about as far as the end of the farms.
Yes, I expect so. Honestly, I thought that's how far you'd get, but I've been wrong before.
There are many times that I got about that far before I finally went farther. But I wanted to ask you, in my adventures, I've discovered a part of myself that feels very old and very connected to maybe some ways of our people that have been lost over time. And I've discovered that I have a little bit of, I guess the best word for it would be a knack of making things happen.
Ah, she smiles. I wondered if it would show itself or if you'd notice it as an adult. As a child, you did the strangest things all the time, and no one seemed to notice it. But yes, it is something that, well, not as prevalent in our family as, say, talent with a forge. It is still there. We're not a family of magicians by any sort, but we have a little flicker of magic in our blood, or some of us do, at least.
Oh.
And she kind of puts her hand on your shoulder. You see her kind of take a deep breath, and you're just kind of filled with a feeling of contentment.
Oh. How delightful. I'm glad to know that I'm not alone in this.
Well, yeah, why do you think that it took so long for your beard to grow in, dear?
Was that connected?
Well, yes, you were so eager for it to come in that you actually made it take longer by trying, like your will. You were so worried that it wouldn't come in. You willed it that it didn't come in.
Oh,
Ouch.
rough.
Yeah. That is 100% something that I would do in real life. Yeah.
It is both a blessing and a curse once you learn to take care of it. But as an untrained child, at times it was very, very excellent for you. You'd get sweets from, the confectionery when no one else could. You often got, the first bit of cake, even on your brother's birthday. Things like this.
No wonder he doesn't like you.
But it also sometimes manifests your worries as well. So you must be careful.
Anxiety magic.
I will.
Anxiety magic, oh god.
Pouring another glass of wine for myself.
Yep.
And make this a thing.
Kimmy is tagging me in this picture.
I don't like it.
I'm 100% just putting this out there. I'm back to I am wildly unconcerned about the human-faced bear.
Yeah.
Not scary at all.
Nope.
I didn't hear any of that vampire bear talk.
Vampire bad bear.
bear.
Nope.
Fish
We're
bad
not
bear.
gonna talk about it. But no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I hope to be able to continue to make the rest of the family proud, and to I think he stops himself when he says continue, and to send things home that are interesting.
Yes.
To maybe inspire the generation that won't be going on adventures to make new things.
And she kind of squints at you a little bit. She's raised a lot of kids, even if they're her grandchildren and great grandchildren. There's
Oh, sure.
many. So when you stop yourself from saying something, but she respects you as a big adult and isn't going to press. If you had been a kid, she would have been wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But she's you see her giving you the respect of an adult of keep your secrets. And then that would be delightful. I would love to see where this family's art can go with the influence of a little bit of fresh air.
Just a question, because it hasn't come up before now. When I saw
Me? Oh, okay.
out
Okay.
of
Character.
out of character.
Okay.
Question. When I saw all of this giant swath of history,
Mm-hmm.
did I see anything about the Blue Mountains, or
No, because you asked the Palantir kind of where it came from.
Right. Okay.
So you probably would have seen, like, going over the Blue Mountains and into the ocean, but you didn't see any of the history of
Okay.
the dwarves, because they were not involved in the makings of the Palantir at all.
Was the flood after that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they were forged on Valinor and brought with the elves who came back many, 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 many years before the war with Morgoth that destroyed the mountains.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
think the dwarves were still sleeping when the Palantir
Yeah, I
were
don't
made.
think the dwarves had even been awoken yet. So
Sure.
you've been 7 dwarves had been made by Ulmo
In secret.
in secret. He's like, I'm gonna make some dwarves, and then he's like, I can't make them come to life. And then like the big in charge Valar, Iluvatar, was like, that's my job, but I'm gonna be nice, and eventually they'll wake up, but not until a certain time because I want the elves to wake up first and all of this. So it's like very specific timeline. But no, you wouldn't have seen.
Okay. So, I think I would tell my grandmother about seeing ancient things.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't use the word Palantir, but I found an ancient object that we have entrusted to the care of some of the elder elves to keep safe. But it showed me some things from before our people. And at first it was frightening, but it really has made me appreciate everything else in the world more. So I hope to bring a little of that home.
Frightening things do tend to make us appreciate what we have much more. It'd be fascinating to see what such knowledge could do to dwarven civilization. Well, I appreciate your kind friends. For the most part, elves have been rather stingy with a lot of their knowledge. Don't tell your friends I said that. They were very nice. I especially like the tall one.
Which one's the tall?
I don't,
No, I mean out of character. Like I don't have any idea relative heights.
she doesn't either. She's also very low, so they
Yeah.
probably look
Okay.
like the same height to her. She probably, honestly, she doesn't have a very good sight at this point. She probably gets everyone mixed up who's not.
Runa is actually
Yeah.
the one she's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, something. She does fairly well with the kids because they're like much closer to where she's at. She's pretty stooped at this point. But yes.
Fair enough.
It was probably your gift that let you even use such a strange magical item in the first place.
Perhaps.
If you get to
Hopefully.
it again, you should ask something helpful.
Perhaps. It was also a dangerous thing. Several of my friends had not complimentary experiences.
Well, and she gets like that, like grandmotherly pride voice. They aren't you, and they do not have bravets, like blood in their veins, and the magical twinkle that is in your blood too.
That may be true.
Is a mere spark from what used to probably be a great flame in our lineage, but even that can start its own fire if needed.
Indeed. How every fire has begun.
Yes, often. Except from what you say of burning dogs or something. Evidently, those can start fires without a spark.
Well, I mean, something started them.
Yes, that's interesting. Wonder if... let's not dwell on such dark things this evening.
No.
I have to say that having a bit of the gift myself was very helpful in raising your father. He was fussy.
I bet. I believe he probably still is. In his way.
She raises her eyebrows and nods. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't quite say so.
No.
But I'm not a great warrior either, so.
I feel safe amongst your plants to speak such.
Indeed, they are very good at keeping secrets. And the way she says it, you're like, that's kind of weird.
No, 100%. I think it's very much the plants are good at it. It's the children that hide amongst the plants. They're not.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I will continue to send messages home when I can,
I would appreciate that.
and it shall be less than a human's life before I visit again.
Well, I guess that's better than not knowing when you're coming back at all.
Well, so the world is large. I cannot give a particular timeline.
Of course not, but don't take too long.
No.
Would like to see you at least once more. Also, you're going to have many nieces and nephews who need to apprentice to a great explorer now, so good job being successful.
Great. Hannah's retirement plan is 100% just teaching adventuring school.
What could go wrong?
Amazing.
Yeah. That's it now.
Also, what is this I hear about you having a ward? I have another
Uh-oh.
great-grandchild, and you didn't tell me?
Well,
Who is it that let slip about the ward?
Probably Aerlind.
I don't remember. Somebody said something, but I don't remember who.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I think you said it to your dad.
And he said
And
to
he
not
said,
tell
"Don't
anyone.
tell
Oh, that's
Tell
true.
your
That's
mom.
true. Yeah.
And
yeah.
probably in the telling of the tale of us going back to Mithlond when we were finishing up the story about the sunken palace, Aerlin's like, well, Hannar wasn't there because he was down in the Shire tending to his ward and thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well,
The one who truly doesn't understand children is absolutely
Yes.
the one that would say that.
indeed, I have spent much time amongst the hobbits of the Shire, and I found one that needed some care, who stays with an old friend for now. But I will absolutely come here to visit.
Very good.
But
If this house isn't good enough for your ward, I understand.
no.
Fine.
Oh.
I mean, it's your father's house, so I shouldn't take offense.
My concern was primarily that the hobbits, they don't wear shoes. And it seems like a perilous idea to bring a shoeless person into a place of a forge. Just for safety's sake.
They don't wear shoes.
They don't. Their feet are very tough. I've seen the hobbit walk across rough gravel and stone that would cut another person's foot. But they don't seem to be bothered.
They don't wear shoes.
Right? It is bizarre. I agree.
Huh.
So I have spent some time thinking about a way that I could make some kind of protective cover for at least the top of their feet.
It's
they
called a
wouldn't
shoe.
This child is not OSHA compliant.
But so,
Make shoes.
well, I'm not a cobbler, and they don't have any in the Shire. It's not a business model that would succeed.
You feel all like the respect that you have draining out of the conversation.
When the child is a little older, I shall take them to Bree and see if the humans can fashion some shoes that I could bring north to visit.
Very well.
You have my solemn promise.
All right. I will let it be. Yes. Perhaps I should go back inside. Yeah.
Oh my god.
There you go. So
So
go back
basic.
inside. We're gonna say we go through into the evening,
Yes.
sleeping diagonally on
On
somewhat-
dwarven beds.
Yeah, except for Hannar, who's very comfortable. You no,
Is Hannar's teenage room still all kept preserved? No, it was given to somebody else. Good.
yeah.
I'm glad.
Okay.
I would feel guilty keeping a room like that when I
Yeah.
just hadn't been here for ages.
Yeah. It's a little bit like it seems like it was done a little pettily, like, but no longer.
Sure.
Like, okay. So yeah, but you were given a very nice guest room, so all that. We're gonna say wake up the next morning, have a great breakfast. As you were leaving, Hannar, you notice there's a lot of different sizes of dwarven shoes lined up by the door that are very obviously like the hand-me-downs of all the kids in the family. So there's like a very large assortment, and your gran is standing there like nodding, like shaking her head, like kind of pointing at the shoes with
Indeed.
her head.
Indeed. Perhaps we could box these up and donate them to the less fortunate in the Shire.
I thought she said they didn't wear shoes.
I give her a wink, like,
Oh,
let's... Yes, see?
yes.
She's blind. Be nice to her.
Gorgeous.
I had to get a little closer. That's all.
Yes. We'll box them up, and so you end up with a very large. They don't box it; they put it in a very large like carrying bag
Sure.
because that's much easier for like long travel. And you have a large bag of many different sizes of young dwarven shoes and boots and slippers, even probably.
We're like standing on the street and Aerlind just looks down like, what is this?
Some people need shoes.
We don't, it's shoes. I thought it was provisions.
No.
That's all shoes? For
Yes.
who?
Why so many shoes?
Do you need new shoes?
We will talk
Hannar?
about it when we leave the city. Before we leave, though, I would pen a letter and leave the gift that I got from Calameldon with the letter to my brother,
Oh, wow.
just for the crafting blessing. Like,
Okay.
and in the letter, it's not like oh, you really fucking need this. It's a gift that was given to me that helped me realize my potential. I hope that you could use it in my absence to continue your great work at the forge. Kind of a thing.
I'm gonna leave that like
Like I would,
yeah.
I would leave it
yeah.
because I don't want it to be a high pressure situation.
No, yeah, and that is a kingly gift indeed, and he would recognize, even if it's of elvish make, he will recognize
The
the
quality.
quality and how important that is. Yeah. Right. So you make your way out. We are going to kind of skip the normal journeying phase. Is there anything you want to do before you leave the Dwarven City?
Aerlind just spends the whole time taking notes. All the conversations he had, all of it's in one of those nice journals.
Roll lore for me real quick.
Ooh. Oh, my dice tried, but I'm pretty sure I still succeed. I succeed. Nothing fancy.
Okay. You realize that as you're leaving, you've picked up a little bit of like very basic conversational Dwarvish.
Nice.
So not like a lot, but if you ever found yourself in a Dwarven city again, you could probably ask like, "Where's the water source?" And it would be awkward like that. Like you couldn't be like, "Hey, I'd like to get a drink." It'd be like, "Where is water?" Yeah, water source. Question?
Hello.
Yes.
I elf.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, kind of the basics are there.
I would absolutely pay a courier to take the shoe bag. The sausages.
Okay.
Get rid of all of the questions that we have.
No, like I'll happily talk with you all about it, but I also don't want to ride into battle with a bag of shoes
Yeah.
Throwing them.
Yeah.
with this huge canvas bag on my back.
Yes.
Incredible.
Very good. Right. So we are going to have you, if you want to switch to the map for a second.
Yeah.
So you're actually not very far away from, so the little,
I will move us.
yeah, the little red dot there. It's only a few hexes up until the Dwarven Mines. There are some like rather perilous zones there, so we're going to do kind of our quick version that we did before. We're not going to do the full rolls for every hex because I want to make sure that we actually, since we only have 2 sessions left, that we get to the
Right.
actual main event this evening. So I'm going to have you each roll a die. Just a second. Let me find my thing.
We're doing the journey die.
Yes. So you're each going to roll a journey die. So that is one of the feat die. So one of your 12-sided dice.
I have a tricky question.
Okay.
I know some of this is a little homebrewy, but I do have an ability that allows me to roll favored on the journey table.
So roll 2 d12, and then we'll pick. You get to pick whichever one you want.
And so does Hannar,
Yes.
which is good because I
Yes.
rolled poorly on one.
And you all and you all get +1 due to your storied map studying in your
Yes.
last fellowship phase.
Thank you, Kimi.
Yes, I remembered. I took a note. I wrote it on my notes this time. So which means that whatever your thing is, if you roll an 8, you actually get a 9.
Yes.
So, which helps because the higher the number, the happier the thing. So, all right. Let's go ahead and start. So these are going to be things. Now there are going to be 2 hexes that are like dangerous. So we're each going to do 1 roll, and then I'm going to roll for those. I'm going to roll 2d12, and I'm going to take the lower one because in those areas where there's like a number, you actually have to have 2 events in that hex is how that generally works. But again, we're kind of doing the fast forward version of the journeying phase. So let's go ahead and start with Runa. Roll 1d12, please.
1d12. Here we go. 5.
5. Okay, so you have a small mishap at the beginning of your journey. So you've left the Dwarven city. You're heading out. And what is the mishap that happens? Okay, you got, what did you roll? 5?
5.
Okay, yeah, you're still in that mishap then.
Small mishap that happens on our way out.
Uh-oh.
Because I'm a jerk. The bag that's holding all of the shoes wasn't super well tied on, so it like comes open and all of the shoes come tumbling out.
Okay.
And we have to like spend time gathering them back up.
Okay. Amazing.
I didn't notice for like a quarter of a mile.
It's just like shoes.
Block,
Just-
block, block.
Shoe breadcrumbs.
You were meeting the courier a little ways out.
Yeah, yeah.
Oops.
It's probably like at the crossroads. There's a general spot for that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's what happens. Absolutely. Aerlind.
Gandalf rune.
Ooh, okay. So
Ooh.
you have a joyful sight. So I'm gonna actually let you save that, and that can happen at any point in our journey.
Okay.
Okay. So a joyful sight. So just something that actually is going to let you each get 1 more hope.
Oh,
So it's like so joyful and amazing. Okay.
okay.
I rolled a 10.
A 10. All right. Chance meeting.
Ooh.
Very good. So we're just gonna say that it succeeded. So we're gonna have you. Who do you think you should meet along the way?
Oof.
I would have it be Laren, but we can't like have any more time between now. we
We have to fight this bear.
Yeah, we have to fight the bear tonight. So I'm saving the meet with Laren for the next, or at least at the end of this evening, or next time.
I'm thinking we meet some sort of like traveling peddler
Mm-hmm.
who has some like really cool things that would be very useful.
Okay.
You know, like maybe a weapon that, you know, came from somewhere, or like a I don't know, just something.
So I'm not going to have it be a weapon because you
Okay.
would have just gotten like
Yeah.
the most superior weapons
True,
ever. The only
true.
reason you didn't get because you already have incredibly superior weapons.
Yeah.
So
So
what you're going to get is actually, you don't know if it works, but like when people go deer hunting, they have stuff they can rub on them to make it that masks their scent.
Ooh.
So this peddler has this rub-on oily stuff that he says will mask your scent from any creature. And he usually sells it for like hunting, for humans for hunting. But that is what he says. And since you shared your fire and you gave him some songs and you shared some food with him, he gives you a jar of it, which is enough for all of you once for free.
Wow.
Awesome.
And I might buy a second jar
Okay.
just in case we need it twice.
Yeah, he's very excited about that. You have no idea if it actually works, but it's sort of like the elves especially have very heightened senses, and you're like, it definitely kind of smells like it might work. So, and it kind of does mask your scent with like other scents, so it's not exactly like making you invisible, but it like covers up the I am a being that can like hunt you smell. It's like I am now just a dead thing that you don't have to worry about or whatever.
Cool.
Hannar, roll a feat die.
I also got a 10.
Oh,
Favored
oh yeah.
Oh,
for the memory of ancient days.
Yeah.
oh, rock on.
And you get to +1. So.
2 10s.
Definitely a 10.
All right.
The
Well,
dice decided.
+1 makes that an 11,
Ah,
which is also a joyful sight. So,
oh, all right.
2 joyful
Right?
sights.
that's
Well,
what-
technically, this is where it gets tricky because if you're doing it by the numerical value, it
Oh, yeah.
turns it into
no, the eye is listed on there.
okay.
Okay, so the 11. Okay, so chance meeting. Yeah, we're just gonna bump it up to joyful sight because terrible misfortune is at the other end of the chart. So
Right.
Like, that
I don't
would be
think
weird.
I
yeah.
don't think the benefit of studying storied maps should make it the worst
Worst.
thing possible on the chart. So we're just gonna say that it bumps it to a Gandalf run.
I studied the story map and I was curious about that dark spot.
All right, so you have a joyful sight too that you're gonna think about.
Okay.
And that will also regain you a hope point. But I think everybody's at full.
I
hope right
wasn't.
now. Oh, okay.
And I have mine so that
Okay.
you can think about yours.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, would you like it to happen before or after the scary area? Oh, no, the dwarf mines. Oh, actually, the dwarf mines are in the first, like, dangerous hex. So, actually, we won't have. I'll roll 1, but then that's all.
I think it's right when we're truly getting to the mines because we're walking through and I'm going to imagine that Liriel, being the clever elven journey woman that she is better at following things off trail, and we're kind of way off trail, and we find a ruin, a kind of untouched
yeah.
ruin, and in it we find a dwarven mosaic that depicts the dwarves of Eredluin talking to the ancient elves. And it is someone who had a vision of the
Ancient
union.
dwarves?
The elves.
Oh, okay.
Someone who had a vision before the schism of all of the peoples of Middle Earth, a vision of elves and dwarves and men moving forward together in the world.
Amazing. Yeah,
Very
that's
cool.
stunning. And absolutely, it's a thing that you found. And so you each, if you don't have all, you should be full up for hope again, I think.
With 2, I am.
Yeah. So there you go. But yes, if you're not, you gain a hope from that. And that's like right before you enter the mines. It's literally like right there. Literally, it's on the thing. Ruins, yay.
Yeah.
I think this could work out because we've been traveling to get up here. So it's not like the sun has not set, but I think as we get right there, the sun just hits a perfect angle and catches what's probably one of the ancient prisms that caught light to send into the mountain, but like scatters it towards us. We're just at the right angle, at the exact right spot between a tree, and just kind of gives that glow of rainbow light coming through the prism kind of thing. Just kind of shines on the path that leads up to the mouth of this mine or cave or whatever.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so this beautiful light is dancing about. Kind of like makes you feel like good fortune, and depending, like thinking about your character, like how religious your character is. Again, this is sort of like a magical world where everyone knows the gods exist. It's not like a question.
Right.
It's just how much fealty or how much time you spend like thinking about them or, honoring them. Yeah, this seems like a good sign. So you are going to come up like this kind of like large ravine. It looks like it may at one point have been where a lot of water flowed. Maybe this is like when the water was draining out of the mines, it created basically like a scar, like a dry riverbed would be, between like these large peaks. And part of that is where you find those ruins. So why don't you kind of explore those for a few minutes and talk about them for just a second before we jump into the mines.
This wash is alarming. This is not a cave. If we could just cross the mountains, do we think that the terror is in this?
This much water had to flow from somewhere.
Well, the sea is just that way. And Aerlind points straight through the ravine.
Well, possibly, but we don't get that much rain up here that this would be like a seasonal river that would form or something.
Right.
And this it doesn't really look like the kind of wear that would have come from a great flood all at once, but a long period of...
It does seem to be quite old, but just worry that this wash... I thought we were looking for a mine where the treasure would be, and if it's washed out, maybe that's why we found the birdcage so far away.
That could be.
Could be what carried it out, for sure.
Could be.
Although, I feel as if the whole thing had washed out, we would have found more treasure scattered about,
True.
given the amount that is said to be in there.
True.
At least part of the cave and its hoard remains somewhere.
Well, we have to find the cave then.
Onward then. I would not like to stop here.
You're right.
No, this ravine seems
All right.
ill-advised.
So as you are kind of leaving that and heading up the ravine, and maybe because I feel like that has to be tie in, like maybe the rainbows like scattered about, you kind of, it helps you notice like, oh, hey, look, there's like a strange kind of like place in the mountain. It kind of goes deeper. It seems like it might be a cave or an entrance of some sort. So because you explored the ruins and then because of kind of the dancing light from this crystal, I feel like those two things also, since Gandalf ruins, like lead you more quickly to the entrance of that is very clear. You're like, oh, okay, I think this is the mine. And you do kind of start going into this cave, and in a way that like sort of reminds you of when you went into Hannar's city, like how it looks like a cave and then you go in and there's like doors there. There are no longer doors there, but you can see kind of the architecture that used to be there. And it has very clearly been like thousands of years, and part of it is worn away, and you might even like, oh, maybe that strange square, rock we saw coming in, maybe that was the door. There's so many things, but there's a heritage and a similarity that you can recognize in the basic layout of the craftsmanship.
Shall we send our best hunters first?
Does it,
Assuming you mean me, I will go first.
With a flip of the hair.
I think before we go in, like, I would spend a decent amount of time looking around to see if there's any signs of activity
Yeah.
out here in the sort of foyer, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. You do notice, I mean, I'm not going to be a roll for it because it's clear that there has been some movement, although it's all solid stone, so it's kind of hard to tell. It's not like there's grass you can see or tracks or anything like that. It's been worn down in some places, so things have come in and out of here. There isn't anything that looks like a bear track because it's all solid stone. But it's very clear, like, who knows? Like, thousands of years people have used this, or animals have used it. Who knows?
Okay.
Think of all the adventurers who have tried to get the treasure here. And,
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think we should put on that smelly oil that the traveler gave us
I think you're right.
before we go in there.
I pass the jar around.
And it's like a very strange smell. It's got kind of an herb quality to it that's like thyme and like a bunch of other things. But then there's also kind of like an iron type smell to it that, like, like maybe that's like blood, but you're not sure. Like, it's just like this strange amalgamation of, it doesn't necessarily smell like bad or rotten. It's definitely not pleasant. But it's just got like an odd odor to it that kind of throws you off, which maybe that's its point. So, yeah. All right. Does everybody put it on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Liriel gives it to me. I put it on.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
I mean, you are exploring
Yeah.
6,000-year-old ruins.
Yeah,
of
I'm
a
learning
dwarven
stuff.
civilization. So as you go in through these doors, after you rub this oil all over yourselves, there's a very long hallway. Again, like, there's like flashes of, hey, this is sort of similar to like the long hallway that you went in when you first went into Hannar's home. But this is obvious, like, it's barren. It's like worn down. There's pieces that are like fallen that maybe at one point were a pillar, but 6,000 years and an ocean have worn smooth a lot of the detail. So you go, and this is pretty far. Like, it's maybe like 50 yards of just this one large, like, you're not feeling claustrophobic in any way, but it's just one straight hallway.
And it's completely empty.
Yeah, it seems like there's debris and things, but there's not
There's not like a
decorations.
deceased adventurer next to us.
No, no.
How, have any of the pinholes of light survived?
It does not seem that here.
Okay.
So whether the dwarves here never developed those, maybe that's a newer thing, or the ocean filled them in, or who knows. But you do have Hannar's torch, I'm assuming.
Sure. Yeah. As soon as we get far enough in that it's dark.
It goes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it gets dark fast. And it is very dark. Every once in a while, you see a glint of, like, metal, like, in the wall, like a vein of some sort of, like, metal or crystal or things like that. But there is very little other than things that were carved in stone that survived from the original dwarven settlement here. Whether that's because people came and took it or if it was just all washed away, you don't know.
Aerlind is in the very back because he's actually quite scared, I think, realizing how real this whole situation has become. And is trying to do so extremely quietly and just listening. Because after being among the dwarves and hearing about, people who can hear, like, sing to the stones and hear the resonance of the caves. So he's just listening to what the cave sounds like.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Not expecting to hear stones singing, but,
Roll me scan.
No.
No, okay.
It's a 4 total.
Yeah, no.
Ooh.
You listen, like, oh, maybe I'll hear something. You hear a cacophony of noises of little rocks falling, of what might be a stream flowing somewhere inside. Like, there's just when you really start to listen, and without like the actual training of a stone singer to like differentiate between all the sounds of the inside of a mountain, it's just a lot of little noises. So kind of like someone who's like, I'm going to go into the silent forest, and then there's a million different little noises, bugs buzzing and birds flying, and and like deer crunching, like all these things. So so you just hear like a whole bunch of different noises.
I think I'm doing essentially the same thing as we get close to the end of the corridor, like just trying to figure out like what's coming next, because we have this long corridor that's clearly very empty. Like, what are we walking into?
Yeah.
I think I'm listening for any, especially for any sounds of movement,
Okay.
Yeah.
that sounds organic.
Okay.
Let's get back here.
You roll better than me.
Ooh.
Oh.
I didn't.
Nope.
No.
I rolled favored and I failed.
Yeah.
Wow. We're gonna
Yeah.
die.
You also. You also like. It's weird, like your feet are echoing in this hallway, and you too hear like the sound of like flowing water that's echoing and sounding like it's from everywhere. Just all these strange sounds. And as you're getting you see like the hallway starts splitting near, like as you get closer to like what's clearly the end. It's not a dead end. Like there's a side hallway, and then it goes down, and then it like branches off into a T, and then there's like, so there's many options.
Okay.
Hannar, you would probably know that one of the ways dwarves protect themselves is they make kind of like mazes out of their hallways. So anyone who lived here wouldn't have had a problem. They'd know, oh, you go this way, this way, this way, this way, and you get in.
Right.
But it was also their way of making more space. Because the more hallways you carve into the mountain, the more people can live there. So it kind of served a dual purpose.
I think, like, the whole walk down the hallway, Hannar's been, like, tracing the veins of metal in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Not in, like, he wants to mine it or he's greedy for it, but just, like, it is the history of the mountain. Not just the dwarves that came here and did things, but this is... like the layers of this rock are the history of this very piece of earth. So I think that's kind of what he's focused on. Like he's holding the torch out for everyone to be able to see, but like he's kind of following that along. Not really super paying attention.
Are you doing anything with that? Are you using your gift on it at all?
I think it's like he's distracted by it.
Okay.
Like he probably hasn't spent a lot of time in actual mines.
That's true.
There was probably school age trips, like here, children, come and see the mine where all this metal comes from, kind of stuff. But there's probably like the well curated mine that they take the kids to show, like here's the process, and it's like a mine recreation, than an actual working mine that they would take kids to. So like. I think even with the millennia of wear that has happened to the stone in this cave, like it has kind of highlighted the spots where very fine chisel marks are in the wall. So like he feels those, and he's kind of following the vein of the ore, and kind of he's just
Okay.
yeah.
I want you to roll your gift. I just want to see what happens.
Do it.
What would that be attached to? I guess I'd attach it to craft.
Yeah.
Because the gift works with like 3 specific skills.
Yeah, it gives you a magical success, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you a magical success. The feat die automatically gives you a success. Is how that works. But I want to see if the gift engages.
Sure.
So I want you to roll. We're gonna have to homebrew this a little bit, the way this works.
Okay.
I'm gonna have you, just roll craft and roll it favored.
Okay.
That's how we're gonna work with that, and then it'll like depending on what you get.
I made it
Okay,
by 1.
by 1. Okay.
Nothing fancy.
Okay. I'd like you then to please. So you make it. So we're gonna say that your gift engages, because generally a magical success you get an automatic success and you just roll the d6s to see how much you succeed.
Sure.
So we're gonna say that was the equivalent of you getting a success on your feat die. So please just roll your d6s again and see if that increases your ability. So your gift engages. We're gonna see how much.
8. No tangle.
No tangwars. Okay, I'm mostly looking for tangles.
Yeah.
Um.
A 5 and a 3.
Okay. And what's the stat total that you have?
12 would
12,
be my target
okay.
number.
Okay, so you're kind of close. For just a moment, like as you're running your hand along this, you feel, and you kind of almost like you did in a numinous, you see for just a moment the dwarves carving this place, and you feel like you're standing there, and everything else kind of disappears, and you get kind of a vision of people living in this place, and you get kind of like almost like you did with the Palantir, but not quite so, like not an info dump, but you just kind of get these visions of different parts of this great city that used to be here, and them building it, and the pride, and even though that they're of a different clan of dwarves, like all the things in it, it strikes you because this was like 6,000 years ago. And there's so many things that seem so similar. And then there's like random things you're like, oh, we definitely have improved that. Or wow, that's amazing that they did that so much better back then. But yeah, it's just kind of like this vision. So I'm going to give you an extra die to any rolls for knowing like where you are, finding things in while you're in the mines.
Cool.
All right.
Okay. I'm just, I'm not listening for anything in particular, but I just want to kind of open my senses,
Okay.
To what's going on.
So we're going to roll awareness then.
Okay. It's like that 360 hearing, when you open your ears to
The
it.
elf ears.
Maybe you'll actually hear something.
Or, I mean, you heard everything.
Yeah, it's something specific.
Yeah.
And I have a blessing on it. So is that an extra die?
That's
or
an
is that-
extra
okay.
D6, yeah.
One Tangor.
Okay.
But 20.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So you
that's
definitely
over.
make it. You open your senses, and even though this is a very different kind of environment than you're used to, you hear all the normal natural sounds that you would expect, and then you do hear, like you're not sure exactly where it's coming from, but echoing through the halls, you hear something large and something that is very clearly alive. So you like, it's a mix of your different senses. It's a little hard to, like, you smell like the rotting of meat, like flesh, that is from, and it's because you've hunted so many foul things in the world. You also just have this sense of darkness, and this is like a greater darkness than just about anything you've faced. And you're one of like Elrond's like, go out and get rid of this gross thing. Like you are his task force, a part of his task force to take care of the darkness in the world. And this feels, this is dark.
Yeah.
And it sort of like starts to permeate, like you feel it almost permeating the air.
Okay. As soon as I sense all that, I say, hold. We are not alone.
Aerlind immediately pulls out his bow, like he's been like waiting for the trigger to do so. It's just like holding it really tight though.
And I just convey some of that, like, there's something large here. Alive. Be on your guard.
I'll draw my sword.
Yeah, I have mine out. at the ready.
Hannar.
I kind of like, I probably noticed that you're off in space.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And
for
so
sure.
I'm like hitting you like, Hannah.
And like it takes a second, and then he probably kind of, forgive me.
You all right?
The mountain remembers.
We can reminisce often.
Let's hope it
right
remembers
now-
our victory.
Well, like, and then, like
after
looking
this.
around and seeing everybody like weapons ready, he's like, oh, like,
Oh crap.
We're in it.
We're doing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing.
But I think he gets his axe out and he hits it on the vein of metal,
Oh,
like
cool.
the hilt of it,
Mm-hmm.
just to sort of like cause that resonance of like worked metal, raw ore, kind of almost like a hammer blow.
Cool.
kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
sound.
yeah, yeah.
And then he's ready to fight.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, you continue on along the passages. It seems like there's a very there's many different ways you can kind of go. I'm not going to ask you like turn by turn, but as a group, do you think you'd hang more to the right or more to the left, or would you try and go as straight as possible?
I feel like straight feet seems too obvious.
There's not now like one straight hallway. Like there's a lot
Okay,
of like
yeah.
turns, but like would you keep trying to come back to about where you were and keep going deeper, or would you like let yourselves drift off in a certain direction, or would you even know the difference?
We might not. I mean,
I think
Yeah.
Runa would, because
Yeah.
she
Yeah,
does
she
this.
said
He does
Yeah.
this.
I think I would try to keep bringing us back to the center whenever
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
just to orient ourselves and
Yeah.
I think.
yeah.
I think I'd probably pause to look at Liriel to be like, at various turns to be like, what do you
Do you smell
do you
it?
feel a little something, you know?
Yeah.
yeah.
I like,
mean,
is there air movement coming from one over another? Like,
Sure.
So as you're
is
going,
it?
Yeah.
so you're going down this hallway then, and definitely Runa, you would notice a sudden difference in the decorations because it's like everything else is worn down, and then there's very clearly something that has been carved much more recently, and it is much more. It is not dwarven. Like all of you know, and you're like, that's not dwarven. And it's kind of, it looks like an old dwarven door that was here before, but there is clearly like the language of, it's not necessarily, it's kind of like the generations from Numenor, so it's based on Sindarin that they spoke in
Okay.
Numenor.
Yeah.
Sindarin and Numenor, right?
No, it's a different. It's a different language.
It is. It was drawn from the Elven language. I think it was drawn from Quenya, actually.
Yeah.
But whatever the Numenorian language is, which I will think of immediately upon stopping this
Yeah.
stream.
With an A.
Yeah, it does.
It's in there.
Yeah, in like 2 seconds, we're gonna just yell it. It's like carved above it, so most people wouldn't be able to read it, but you recognize it definitely as a treasure hunter, even though you can't read it. You're like, hey, that means there's stuff in there. Aerlind, you might actually be able to read
probably
it.
actually.
Yeah. Liriel, you probably could too because it is based on Elvish. It would be like someone who speaks, one of the, Latin-based languages, like kind of can figure things out.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hannar. You're like, those are letters of something, I think. It's
I mean, I've just barely started to get a handle on modern Elvish.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But it's very clearly carved into what was a door that was already there.
Gotcha.
That's
Is it
kind of to
well
your left.
carved? Is it like very rustically carved?
It is not something new. It is very old, but it looks like it was not done by an expert.
Okay. I'm like, are we looking at like beautiful fine craftsmanship, or is it someone with a chisel?
Yeah, someone with a chisel that did as good a job as they're able. Like, it's a very nice job. They spent time on it, but is clearly not the work of someone whose job it is to be a stonemason.
But not carved in like a panicked hurry, like, oops, there's a bear in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't open, bear
Bear
inside.
inside.
Is there any feeling that does this feel a little darker or a little lighter than other parts we've been in?
This doesn't feel either. This
Okay.
is there isn't nothing, at least is what you're feeling. Like this is not the source of the darkness. This is not a happy place,
Right.
but it is also not a corrupted place.
So what does the door say, Kimi?
The door is clear that it's like a memorial. So it's like, here lies the great knights of the king.
I convey that.
Ah,
A tomb, then.
we're on the right path.
But what king?
The king that fled here. Remember the story?
The bird cage?
Oh, that
King. He fled this way, and they defaced the dwarven door.
I was thinking of dwarven kings again. Yes.
Right. No. The human king on the run that
Yes.
came along later.
Arvindui was the name of the king.
Great.
But it doesn't say that on the door. Like,
Yeah. But like,
obviously,
Yeah.
it's like a hard name to write.
Then we're in the
if
right
it were a
place.
human king, why would they write it in Elvish?
The Numenorians.
Oh.
A couple generations passed. So it's probably like bad. Like, they probably were a little like, it had probably developed into a little bit more of its own language by then.
Numenorian slang.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. Like modern English versus like what they spoke in like the Middle Ages,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah.
Then we're in the right place.
We are that.
Shall we?
Into the tomb, then.
Be on your guard.
Still.
Maybe we travel quietly.
Yes.
Yes.
I think Hannar specifically is looking at your sword.
Oh, yeah. Is it a ghost bear, man?
I'm assuming
nothing
it's
yet?
not glowing.
It is not glowing.
Okay.
Great.
You
Let's check
definitely
it
will be
out.
able to tell immediately. Like
Yeah.
even without looking at it, it's dark enough in here, even with Hannar's
We're
torch.
gonna know if there's ghosts
Okay.
immediately.
You're gonna know, yeah.
That's all. I'm gonna keep that in the corner of my eye.
So you walk down a little bit of a hallway, and then it opens up into a very large room. In the center of the room is a huge pile of rocks, which is basically a cairn. So you can tell that this is a burial place. And then there's, again, like carved, there's a larger stone sat in front of it. And it says, "Here lies Melaneth, guard of the king, slain by the beast of Angmar." And then you see there's a few more around the edge of the room. There's a few more cairns, and then you see like bones, like that are just like in like laid in positions. So it seems like
They didn't
The
have
last
enough
to
people.
die, nobody could put the
Yeah.
rock.
they started running out of like
Places to bury people.
and the manpower
people
to
to do it,
actually
yeah.
bury them. So they've been laid out here ceremonially, but like they didn't give everyone like the large
Yeah.
pile of stones and things like that. And it does look like these were not stones that they like, these are stones they found, and this is not the way they would traditionally bury the dead in this time, especially for nobility and knights.
Is it untouched?
It seems that way. It doesn't look like anything's messed with it.
I don't know if there's anything else to see here.
It is curious. Is there does it end in this room, or is there?
No, this is the end of a room.
Okay.
Yeah, because it makes me wonder, were they trapped in here? You know, was this their last place to...
You do know the legend that you've heard many times now says that there was a great treasure that was with them when they were, and some of them did escape. The king himself and some of them did escape with very little treasure, and they did make it to the sea, but many of them died here before that. You do notice that they did pick a room with a very small door, like their little hallway. Like this is not something people can make it through here, but this is not something even the burn beast could have probably gotten into,
Okay.
especially with the little bit of a longer hallway before it became an open chamber.
Smart. A good fallback position if necessary.
Defensible, but
I'd assume we'd have to be close to wherever their treasure remains.
Yes.
I mean, there's a chance that there is some treasure, and I mean, you don't know. Like, there is that maybe this was where their last stand was. You really have no idea from the stories you heard how much was actually left and how much there was. Like, the stories fluctuate from rooms full of gold, but that sort of doesn't make sense because they were carrying it with them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
a
so
little too heavy.
yeah, so you have no real measure of what the treasure here might be.
I think I would give the room like a light once over for treasure. We're still focused on Scary Bear. But like we're in here.
Okay.
See what there is.
Okay. Roll scan for me.
Okay.
Can we spend a hope point on this, a fellowship point, to give you more hope? Because we came here for this.
Sure. I'll spend my
Sure.
own hope if I need to.
No, you get it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, that one's very cocked.
This one is. You're gonna have to do a better job than that.
Bad dice.
Okay.
No,
Well, it
not
didn't,
really.
but I still succeeded despite the dice's
Okay.
best attempt.
Any
And I
Tangwar?
got a Tangwar.
Oh, okay. As you're kind of poking around the room, on the cairn in the center, you can see that a few rocks have like slid, not like they were disturbed, but just like time. And you see a shiny thing
Oh.
in the cairn. Like,
In the cairn?
yeah.
Oh, rude.
Uh-oh.
I'm a terrible person.
Uh-oh.
Grave robbing it is.
Yep. Watch the
Listen,
sword.
At
Watch
some
the
point,
sword.
it becomes archaeology.
Okay.
And that point is now. So
At least you're the human doing this.
That's the philosophy of the British Museum.
In Runa's case, though, that belongs in my museum.
let's move the rock and see what the shiny thing is. Gently. In case of traps.
Yeah, you find like a skeleton. There's some like clothing kind of clinging to it, and then like on its chest, like it was holding what is still a pristine sword, showing no sign of age. And this is Melinoth's sword.
Whose sword is it?
Melinteth's, I think I've been saying it wrong this whole time. Sword. So the name that was on the little marker.
Ah.
The one that was slain by the bear.
Yes.
Yeah. By the beast.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We're going with bear.
Well, I feel like he needs revenge, so I'm gonna take this sword and kill that bear with
sword,
it.
3-sword Runa.
Are you thinking that when you pick up the sword?
Yes.
Excellent.
Oh no.
So let me read about Melinteth's sword.
Uh-oh.
The sword, no, it's all good.
Oh, good. Okay.
The sword is forged in Numinous by master smiths and is an excellent blade. It is a superior fell, superior grievous, keen sword, and wound around with spells that make it of a bane to orcs and evil men.
Heck yeah.
However, if the wielder of the sword does not swear to slay the beast of Angmar, then the sword becomes cursed with the curse of weakening. But you were thinking, as you picked up the sword, unknowing that you
Holy
wanted
crap.
to slay the beast of Angmar. So you are not cursed with the curse of weakening.
Heck yeah.
You feel
Yay.
like as you pick up the sword, you feel almost like it's not audible, but you feel like a vibration that like feels like you are bonding with this sword.
Oh.
And it like resonates almost like you could hear like a high like musical note like on a like tuning fork, that vibration, but no sound makes. And you have now an incredible sword. Another incredible sword.
3-sword Runa.
Yeah. That's so good.
That's so good that you said that. I was like, oh, pick up the sword. And then you're like, no, I will slay the beast of Angmar. As you
With
picked it up, I was
this.
like, yes,
Killer.
amazing.
Yay.
What are the chances?
Incredible.
Like, you're saying that, I'm like, oh, are you really thinking that? Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
100%.
Okay.
That's
okay.
absolutely what Runa would immediately
Yeah.
think. She'd be like, this guy needs revenge. Give me your sword, dead
Yes.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna help you.
Yeah. And we're going to say, too, just for like a brief moment, your other sword glows for just a moment, but with like a pure white light. Like, it's like he's giving you his blessing.
Aw.
Take this sword and slay this beast. And then it's just like a quick little like glow and flash. Like, he's not there
Yeah.
haunting it, but it's just like the last bit of his spirit was like, do the thing.
I 100%
It
feel
allowed him
like,
to be released.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like the hand relaxes
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not enough that anybody across the room even sees it, but you're probably like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
it's awesome.
Perfect. That was so cool.
Yay.
All
Okay,
right.
you'll have to remind me what it does.
Oh yeah,
A
yeah,
lot.
I'll tell you.
A
It
lot
does
of
have so
things.
many things. Bane to orcs and evil men, but I don't think it's going to apply for right now. But superior fell, superior grievous. I'm going to have to look up what those are.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm going to imagine that at least
My regular sword is grievous, so it adds 1 to the damage.
Okay.
So I'm guessing superior grievous does more than that. And I
have,
forget what fell does.
I have the book.
Okay.
I believe fell increases the injury number.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes,
I'm
that
gonna
makes
look
on
sense.
page 79.
superior means though.
So maybe this bear won't take most of the session. We'll see how
Good job.
it goes.
Yeah, so fell means that it's whatever the standard sword injury number is, it's 2 higher.
Okay.
Great.
That regular fell or superior?
Is it superior
Uh,
fell?
Superior fell.
So I would assume, is that
Yeah.
double regular fell, or is it plus 1 additional?
Kai's looking at it.
I'm gonna look it up.
Okay.
I'm gonna learn what this means.
Yes. All right. So we'll say like that has happened. You're in
Great.
the tomb. I'm going to ask you right now before we get started. Would you rather wait and do the combat in the next session? Because we can. I mean, depending on where you go, we can absolutely continue to explore the mines,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can do the big fight and then kind of the epilogue next session, or we can do the fight this session. Or what vibe would you guys? Would you like to be surprised?
I think fight and epilogue next session might be,
Okay.
I don't know.
We've got like half an hour.
The fight usually doesn't take very long in this game. I feel like
Yeah, we do.
the only
pretty
one
good
that was
job.
long was the fish fight, and even then
Yeah,
we've gotten better.
you've got. All right. Well, we'll see if we have to. Are you okay with running a little bit long tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. We won't run super long, but we'll definitely be out of here before like 10:30. Okay.
Yeah. That's fine with me.
Okay.
Very down.
Are you okay with that, Michelle? Okay. Dave?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just want to double check and be respectful of everyone's time.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate all of you. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that moment. That was so good. I'm like riding the high of that moment.
Yeah.
That's so bonkers.
So
That was
crazy.
like the exact.
Yeah, so wild. Sorry, wild.
That's it.
Yeah. And okay. So what do? You're in the cairn. You just got this amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'd turn to everybody and say, I think we have Sir Melanteth's blessing to slay the beast with this.
It's a very nice sword.
It is.
All right.
I think that is all there is to see here. Shall we
Press
move
on.
Yeah.
All right, so you exit that chamber. Which direction?
Does anybody?
To the right, to the left, deeper in.
I think a little deeper in, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
There are some places here where you are starting to see other skeletons. They also seem fairly ancient. So nothing. Oh, look, this is like last year. Like definitely older. Some of them have like jewelry and stuff still on the skeletons, things like that. But you do notice it is not just like ancient Arnor like people who were with the king. There are some who look like they may be a little bit more recent.
Do they look placed, or do they look like they fell?
Some of them look like they fell.
Okay.
So you're starting to like you haven't really seen others. Some of them look like they like were laying down. Some of them might have been placed, but most of them look like they were not.
Okay. Then it seems like we're maybe on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
Are they looking as old as the ones we just saw, or are these?
Based on like the fashion and their armor and stuff, some of them are not. Some of them are. None of them are from like the last century, but they're definitely a lot more recent than thousands of years ago.
Okay.
And they look like they've been attacked by something.
It's hard to tell. They're piles of bones.
Okay.
So
But like, if they had armor, like, does it look like it's rent?
some of them, yeah.
Okay.
Some of them, no. A lot of them are not wearing armor, which is kind of surprising. Especially the ones who look older, you think these might have been the nobles who were with
the
the
people
king.
that fled here.
Yeah,
Okay.
like it probably was that the knights fought and died first, and then the ones who were left over, like, not a lot of fighters probably. But there are some that look like, oh, that's very clearly an adventurer who came into the mine, and who knows what it was.
Okay.
And if you do finally get to one point as you're walking through, there's one long, thin hallway that looks even like you cannot see the end of it. And as you kind of continue to walk through, suddenly there are a lot more like bones. But these look like the knights who you saw who were laid to rest in the other room. And they are very clearly, these do have like giant claw marks or like puncture marks that look like they might be like massive jaws. And they kind of go along through most of this deep hallway. And this hallway goes on probably for 100 yards. Like really thin, small hallway. And that's not super thin, but like straight and long. It's actually a very large, tall hallway.
Okay.
So it's like kind of a grand entryway to something. And it seems like this might have been like where they kind of tried to do like a last stand against whatever this creature was.
To answer the earlier question, it is double the original thing.
Okay.
So-
So it's
Oh, okay.
+4
+4
to
for
injury
fell.
and +2 to grievous.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Kimmy, could I roll battle to see, like, based on the like wounds and wear that I'm seeing on these knights, if I can discern anything about the beast's like attack tactics?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And don't forget you have a blessing in battle now.
I do. Thanks, Kelameldon.
Yeah. Fancy scabbard of crystal.
Fancy crystal scabbard. Let's use it. Rude.
Ooh.
I missed it by 1.
Oh. So you
Right.
can see very clearly, like, yes, this was a last stand. This is a brilliant place for them to, like, concentrate their forces in this one point to try and beat back this, like, terror of Angmar. But the marks on their armor are really confusing.
Okay.
There's giant punctures, like there's teeth, but there's not the pattern of it does not look like any animal you've ever seen. It's not like a wolf or a bear or anything like that. Like it evidently has huge teeth, but it's a very strange small bite. And there's scratches and
Doesn't make him feel better, actually.
yeah. And it's very strange. And again, like when you fought the burn beasts, like they were animals. Like they were
Yeah.
terrifying animals. But you look at this and you like there should not have been an animal that was able to get by this.
Okay.
So you're just kind of utterly confused about the beast's capabilities and was something else with them. Like none of this makes any sense.
Okay. Boo. I think I kind of keep that to myself because I don't want to dishearten anyone.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to help.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Very kind.
But I do say that we should be careful moving forward.
As you continue on, there is it's very clear as you continue, like as you get closer to the end of the hallway, you start seeing some glints of things up ahead, like reflections of the torchlight. And then you walk into a huge hall, like gigantic, like so tall that like the light doesn't actually reach all the way to the ceiling. And there's these massive pillars on like carved straight out of the mountain, like in rows on both sides. And you can kind of see there's like rooms off to the side. There's like doorways. Obviously, this was some sort of large ceremonial hall with tons of different avenues for people to go do other things, like bring in meat or whatever it was. So this was obviously the center of this vast city down here. Let's see. Yeah, and as you're looking around, you're starting to see the glints of like bits of gold. So there are actually like there was piles of just gold and random things kind of sitting around this. But as also you get closer, you also kind of smell this strange, like rotting iron smell. And Liriel, especially, you're like, oh, this is darkness. Like you've been in the dens of disgusting dark beasts of the dark before, like Sauron and Morgoth's like spawn.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just like immediately like horrified and almost sickened by what the presence that is in this room.
I think it's here. Do not walk straight out into the open, please. Stay close to the walls for now.
And stay together.
And stay together.
As you're kind of looking on, eventually you can kind of see like the room is really big, but the beast, you don't see the beast in this room. There are many hallways going off in many different directions, but you do see that in this, like, it's not a gigantic pile of gold. It's not like a dragon hoard by any means, but there's like some piles of stuff. And then there is a giant pile of bones, just like arranged in like basically what it looks like a little cozy like curl up place. Like, have you ever seen how? Yeah,
Pile of bones.
like how like animals kind of like arrange pillows and stuff till they have like a little nook that they can curl up in.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is made of the
Bones.
remains of all its victims.
Nice.
So they're, and some of it's like pushed like gold out of the way. Some of the gold is kind of like in the bottom. So it doesn't seem like it cares at all for any of the gold because it's just kind of extra around the room. It has not been tended. Some of it's been flung and knocked over. Some of it's still probably like with a like layer of dust on it. Like it's never been touched. And it's this strange mixture. None of the remains are new enough to smell rotten, but it's just kind of this like irony, like used to be rotten smell that's kind of stuck in this cavern. And yeah, it's probably, there probably has not been fresh air here for quite like literally thousands of years.
Is the thing in the middle of the nest?
No, there's nothing there.
No.
There's just a giant nest there.
Wait,
No.
I missed that part entirely.
No, it's okay.
We're just in it.
Yeah, it's in its
Right.
lair, something there.
I'll be home later. It's fine.
As you walk through, you can kind of tell that maybe this is where like the nobles when the knights were making their last stand kind of were trying to live. And if you get close to some of the pillars of the walls as you walk through, you can see this time very hastily carved things on there. So there's like slash marks, like when they were counting days, like trying to keep track of how long they were there. So they were trying to keep track of the time, even though it was completely dark. There was like some like carvings in there that say it's too late. It's too late. We can't go back. We must brave the ice. His hand is at our throats. You know, things like this carved. And then another message nearby on a different hand is, a curse to anyone who takes that which does not belong to them. May their names be counted with Arpharazon. And like all these different things, just like random, like, and some of it starts off like kind of nicely carved and it just gets more and more scattered. And like, and the tally marks eventually fade off, and they start off in like nice rows, and then eventually it's like just scratching. Yeah, so it's not a hopeful sight.
No. How close are the pillars to the walls where the like doorways are?
A good ways. It's like there's a full like large hallway between it. They're very much like, this is a mountain. The pillars are not actually to hold up the ceiling.
No.
They're decorative.
They're very decorative. And it seems like it was almost to provide a buffer between the important people who would be in the middle and like all the bustling activity on the outside. Almost like when you go to a large church and they've got like those pillars. And then there's like full aisleways on each side that then lead to the side chambers and stuff like that. It's more that vibe.
And then the doorways themselves, are they like smooth openings? Are there any sort of fixtures?
Not anymore. It looks like you can imagine probably when they were made, they were probably fancy, beautiful doors. There's a few that have kind of like fallen, but for the most part, they're very bare, like beautiful, very large archways. Or well, we won't say archway. They're like very large square, very similar, like the great grand, like of what you saw when you first went into Hannar's home. So yeah, kind of very Art Deco-y, kind of square, geometric shaped things.
I have a mildly gruesome idea.
What?
The creature, it will return to its lair at some point.
I'd like you all to roll stealth right now while you're talking.
I'm
I'm really holding the dice in my hand for it.
Nope.
Oh, seriously? You're talking to me.
I know.
Just made it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Just made it.
Aerlind is thinking about the gift of the Numenorians and how connected he feels to their plight here because of that. And I got a Gandalf rune.
Amazing.
Well, I rolled like a fistful of dice and also to succeed, but I got a Gandalf rune.
Okay, excellent.
I succeeded with the Tengwar.
Oh. So especially being in the Dwarven mines, like this is literally what your people were.
100% giant pile of gold. That's how you get dragons. Like, this is a terrible. These humans brought all this gold here. It's not enough gold to have attracted a dragon, but look,
Yeah.
Above
other
ground,
bad
it's,
things come.
Yeah.
above ground it's standing water, below ground it's piles of gold. Attract flying monsters.
Liriel, did you make it?
Barely.
Okay. So Runa, you were the one person who didn't
I'm the
make it.
one person didn't
So
make
you're
it.
standing there talking really loudly about, what were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna tell everyone that we should make some caltrops out of these poor people's bones to put in the doorways so that we can hear the thing coming.
That's a great idea.
Yes.
I should have said it quieter.
Yeah, so,
I don't think I realized how loud I was whispering because this place is huge.
yeah, well, and it really just echoes in a way that, like, you were not expecting. Because it was like a hall where the Dwarven leaders would, like, give speeches, and it's made to resonate and send, like, the words out to the people. Is very specifically carved for that.
Yep.
Oh, oops.
Oops.
Aerlind like winces when you start talking.
Yeah.
Shut up in the room, Runa.
Yeah, and it's literally the thing where you're like, hey, maybe we could.
Just stops talking, but it's too late.
Yeah. And then, yeah. Roll awareness for me, please.
Okay.
All of us.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna use different dice.
Yeah.
Than most
They're not happy with you
They're
tonight. What did
please?
you
a
do?
little mad.
Super bad at awareness.
No.
I got a 1.
Good.
Succeed with a Tangor.
All right.
Succeed.
Okay.
No bars.
I failed.
Okay.
My dice are mad.
Yeah. So, my dear elves of the party, you are there and you feel it. Like in your, blessed by the Valar, like children of the stars, you feel the darkness and the rotten just presence of something that is not even like the like children of Morgoth, but of something that was a ally and fought with Morgoth in the previous ages. Like just the most disgusting thing. So this is like the beast of Angmar, and it did serve the Witch King, but it is even more ancient than that, or maybe of a line that came from something more ancient than that. But this is just something completely foul and against everything that your people have ever created or stood for. The two of you aren't aware, but even you both feel like uneasy. It's like that feeling you get when you're walking alone somewhere and you're not quite sure and you're like, you feel like something's there.
I think we're in the middle of a
conversation.
conversation. I think we're in the middle of this conversation, and Aerlind just raises his bow like immediately, like you're being loud. And Aerlind, while he can be very distractible,
Yeah.
usually is like, yes, tell me everything. Fully stops paying attention to you, wheels around and points his bow somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the way this chamber works, you start hearing this crunch of like large feet stepping on something, but it echoes hugely in this room. So it's hard to tell exactly which hallway it's coming from. And you hear, it's not a growl and it's not a hiss. It's something kind of between those two things. Let's look. What are you doing?
Oh, crap, it talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Runa is shutting up. No more
Aerlind-
talking for me.
Is gonna take a beat and look at Liriel. And then to Hannar. Sorry, Runa.
No, it's okay.
I'm going to add another thing too. Every one of you heard that in your own native language.
Extra long look at Liriel. We come seeking the beast of Agmar. Are you it?
I am the terror of Angmar. I have been known by many names and eaten those with greater names than yours.
My name means nothing. You cannot devour hope. Show yourself.
I think you'll find that I can. And then, like, from one of the pathways, like, very close to you, like, comes this, like, at first you just see it kind of, like, barely appear, and it looks like the very gaunt face of just, like, a sort of a strange amalgamation of, like, all the, like, humanoid races. It's got, like, a little bit of, like a beard, and it's got, like, fine elvish features, but it's also kind of just, like, gaunt, like a gaunt human. And its eyes are just, like, white. Like there's no pupils or irises in their eyes. And it's like, and it just kind of appears. You don't see the rest of its body. Kind of like Cheshire Cat, like just kind of appearing. So, and you all each have to do a shadow test.
How do we do that again?
That's a great question. I have to remember. I think that for that, if you, so what happens if you fail it? You have to take 2 shadow points for dread.
On one of these here, fancy
It's
cheat
very
sheet.
on one of the fancy sheets that I gave you.
The first
yeah.
page of that multi-page.
Yeah, on the left. On the left.
Shadow.
Okay.
It's dread,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a valor test.
Yeah, valor test. There you
Okay.
go. I'm going to do many of these. We haven't met so many terrifying, awful things.
Yeah.
It's on page 137 of the book if you wanted to look.
Okay, and so one of my features is merry, which means it's harder to make me hopeless
Okay,
than normal.
very nice.
So does it, I think that gives me a bonus die to my roll?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
What am I rolling against then? What number am I trying to hit?
So valor is your heart TN.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Your heart TN, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we roll our stat in valor
Mm-hmm.
plus a feat die.
Yes.
let's do it.
Where's? I'm sorry. Where's the stat in valor? Because I
It's
don't-
over on the
Far side.
It's on the far
Left.
side by Dave.
Mhm.
Oh,
Well,
not on
mine-
hers. It's
yours is different.
Hers is the
Hers is
regular
different.
one.
different.
Yeah, mine's up here.
It's
Okay,
it's with
so my valor's here.
when you
It's two.
Oh,
level
2.
up.
So you
Yeah.
get 2d6 with
Yep.
your feet.
Okay.
I succeeded.
Excellent.
I succeeded with a Tengwar.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I succeeded.
Oh,
I'm so ready for myself to not.
all right, Hannar.
Uh-oh.
Now,
Oh no.
I got a Tengwar, but I got an eye.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
Okay. Yeah, you take
Hannar.
2 shadow points of dread. This is a blight. Liriel, you've fought darkness before. You know how to steel yourself against such things. While you're horrified, you know this feeling.
Yeah.
Aerlind, you've read about these creatures. You were a little bit, you knew it was coming before you heard its voice, and you also have kind of the steel of your people. You know your people have defeated these before, and you have faith in your group. Runa, you have a little bit of the blessing of a little bit of ignorance. You fought a lot of monsters in the world. You've never fought something this dark and this evil, but you also, because you're a little bit merry and a little bit ignorant of quite how evil this thing is, you've fought talking gross things before. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a little creepy looking, but you're okay.
I got the sword.
Yeah.
Multiple swords. You have so many swords.
You are a variable urchin of swords at this point.
Nothing can defeat me. I cannot get close.
Yes.
Don't hug Runa, guys.
Hannar, what are you feeling right now?
I think Hannar just feels like a baseline panic. This is the same kind of thing that has killed dwarven cities.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken up residence here because it could. Even if there had been a city here, it could have just moved in. So I think he's the memory of the fact that we just got the Lonely Mountain back,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea that noble Balin went off to reclaim Moria for us, but that's still a horrible
totally going
thing.
well.
Right. As far as, but he's off doing that.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's this history of darkness forcing the dwarves to leave.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the thing he sees.
Yeah. think it's also going to echo in you a little bit all the horrible stories you were told as a child.
For sure.
To
Yeah.
scare you into staying in bed or not go near the river. Like, this is your childhood terror in person. It is not something that, like, as an adult, we convince ourselves, like, oh, the boogeyman's not real. Like, you're meeting the dwarven equivalent of the boogeyman. And it's talking at you and looking maybe at you. So I think all of that tied in together. Yeah. All right. So then as quickly as you saw it, it like fades into the darkness and it's gone again. And you can still hear it, but again, it's like echoing all of these chambers and it's like so hard to tell where it's at. Are you here for the gold? It is the best thing. For so many years, I would hunt. I should have just waited.
We're frozen.
We're frozen.
Oh.
Let me try and change to.
Nope.
We are still all. Nope.
Just the
Okay.
players.
Just the players.
Kimmy's not frozen.
Kimmy's moving.
Oh, good. Well, I'm the one who's important anyway.
You were the one talking. I just thought Sarah was like, I haven't moved in a while.
Yeah, you're right. We're all very good at not blinking. Without stopping the stream, I don't know.
Why don't you, let's go ahead and go to the title card for a moment, because that doesn't use any. Nope.
Still frozen.
So where are my fingers must have.
I still
Okay.
look super annoyed.
The computer. Okay.
Nope.
All right. Nope.
Sorry.
Still frozen.
All right. Can you hear us, James? James, can you hear us? I mean, why don't you all talk? That's probably more important.
Yeah.
Sure. Hello.
Can you hear us?
I mean, it's all the same
It shows
audio.
that it's bouncing.
Yeah, the audio.
Okay. All right. Well.
Yes, they can hear us.
Okay. Why don't we just go ahead and do our wrap up then, and we'll be super frozen with fear. We'll be frozen in this moment, and we will pick up next time. So let's just do our wrap up, and we'll pick up in this moment at the beginning of the next session.
Yes.
I feel like that's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And so, all right, cliffhanger and characters frozen with fear. Amazing. So thank you so much for joining us tonight for our penultimate episode of the Unsung Tales. I'd like to thank our chat mod, James V, for your amazing hard work. We really, really appreciate you.
Yay.
Thank you to our amazing patrons who keep us ad-free and gaming independence. It's because of you we get to play games we enjoy without worrying about publishing companies or ads. You can join their heroic ranks at happyjacksrpg.org/Patreon. Let's go around the table and just reintroduce yourself. Say what you're doing right now as your character is frozen with fear on the camera. Let's start on this end, Samantha.
That's me. I think I'm frozen with annoyance more than fear. Runa's just she's not all there enough to fear it right now. But I've been Sam and continue to be generally. You can find me on the internet at RedPandroid on most of the socials, where you can find pictures of my dog and weird costumes I make, and occasionally links to my store, stiarnastore.com, where you can buy art that I made on clothing. It's cool. You should check it out.
You definitely should. Hi, everybody. I'm Kai. I have been Aerlind of Mithlond this evening in this penultimate wonderful episode of this wonderful series. You can find me all over the internet as Estelle of Imladris. And the only other thing I'm going on this week, which is enough Thank you. Is I know wild. I did just wrap up Mysteries of Ravenswood today, which was with Queen's Court Games, and it was our Pride show where it was all a bunch of trans characters, trans players going to a wizard school for reasons. So that was really fun. Go check that out on their VOD. It should all be up now. And then on Saturday, you can join us for the second episode of the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, which is an all trans, people of color led actual play series where we explore a dark fantasy multiverse where we play Strike Team Nova of the Transplanar Reification and Nourishment Syndicate. And we are out answering Mayday requests to Fate herself. So you can see us starting in the Wild Sea on Saturday.
All right, I'm Michelle. You can find me on the 12-Sided Stories podcast, doing lots of accents and fun stuff. And you can also find my music if you subscribe to the Plate Mail Games catalog through BattleBards.
And I'm Kadave, and I am the best ventriloquist you have ever seen. I'm so good, I don't even look like I'm breathing. I am super excited to come back next week and to fight the horror. And yeah, that's what I'm focused on now.
Yeah.
It's just, one way or the other, this fight has to happen.
Yeah. All right, and I've been Kimi. I've been your Loremaster. You can find me at Golden Lasso Girl everywhere on the internet. You can also find me sitting at my computer for hours a day redoing the Happy Jacks website right now, which is a long
You're
task.
doing it.
We have thousands of episodes. It's just like a lot. Anyway, you can also find me at happyjacksrpg everywhere. You can find the games that I am designing at goldenlassogames.com. And so lots of fun, amazing things happening. JackerCon is coming up. So if you are interested, you can go to happyjacks.org/Discord, join our Discord community. July 21st, that whole weekend through the 23rd, actually it's a little bit spilling over into weekends before and after that. We have an online gaming convention happening on our Discord. It is completely fan run. It's been happening for many years at this point, but it's actually because our Discord community has gotten so active, it's got like 13 games running currently. So if you want to join some amazing games that use safety tools and are fantastic, join that Discord community. There's a JackerCon section. There's a whole bunch of games you can still sign up for. There's lots of spots, and it's very exciting and very amazing. And I'm happy to see so many games being run. And I have to get my games in soon, so yes. So thank you all so much. Please tune in next week for our finale. I know, it's so much. Okay, and thank you so much. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.